2 minutes before show start, everyone always gets really quiet, and it's
I think we all talk to our streams.
a
I
bit
think that's what it is.
anxiety-inducing.
Oh no, I was just being silent.
Oh, and I actually hate you, Sprout. I don't.
Well,
Oh,
a
okay.
silent Sprout is the best Sprout.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but you're gonna get the worst Sprout tonight. So
Oh, no!
I hope not.
I hope you were watching my stream and getting educated on transports before you jumped on. You know, I hope that happened.
I saw you for a little bit, but I had to leave. I had to study up on something real quick.
Oh, you didn't wanna get the real facts? You had to pick up your own? Got it.
No, no. I actually, most of the time, I actually study up on like opposition research. Helps me out more
Oh.
than reading up on my own side.
I'm just messing with you, Sprout. You know I love you.
I
Hearts
know.
all around.
We'll see after the next 3 hours if that remains the same.
Hey, I will say, me and Sprout had a long conversation before he went on deployment, and I trans-pilled him really hard. So I love Sprout. It's fine.
On deployment to help refugees. How can anybody help hate Sprout ever? It's
And I got the vaccine. That
and-
was the
yeah.
first part.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Get the booster?
Oh, have you been boosted yet, Sprout?
No, I'm probably not gonna get the booster.
Oh no! Oh, we
You
lost
were
it
so
all.
Probably
close.
not gonna get the
IRI.
booster.
You dug it up real quick.
See,
That was
here's the thing.
impressive.
So here's the thing. I'm probably not gonna get the booster because of a couple reasons. One, the pandemic is dying down. Two, I wouldn't be eligible for it until another couple months. And three, I
Wait, did
don't
I freeze?
think that at
Shit.
that point in time it would be worth going to get.
Thank God the topic is not on that. Let's not make it
Okay.
that, please.
Oh,
Omicron
man.
is also a
No
lot less
vaccine.
deadly than like previous
Oh no!
waves.
Oh no! No! No!
Oh God.
no.
Okay, yeah. Let's not talk about it.
It's not. Who did I lose? I lost someone.
We
Uh,
could do vaccine. We could do vaccine in here. I just say let's try to avoid it on the panel. Lord knows
yeah.
it always comes up.
So just let you know, get a good look at this face because it's a changing. Next time y'all see me, I'm going into
Oh yeah?
the big face surgery.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
In a week and a half. So
Are you
Who's your
getting like
doctor?
orbital, jaw,
yeah,
everything?
orbital, not jaw and chin. I'm leaving
Okay.
that one. That's
Okay.
fine. But everything else, yeah, all this.
Oh,
Wow.
That whole
but
thing.
Congrats.
somebody was
Pretty
explaining to me
good.
the process where they like remove the bone, flip it upside
That's-
down, and then and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my goodness, this is so
That's
much
all
more intense
happened.
than I thought.
Who are you
How
going
long's your
to,
recovery
Jersey?
time that you're
I'm
expecting?
going to Dr. Satterwhite in San Francisco. The
Okay.
recovery time it can take up to like a year for all the swelling to go down, but the main recovery is pretty much done in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I will be
Oh, wow.
back on and stuff like that. But the swelling and some of the numbness might linger for about 6 months to a year in some spots.
Wow.
Box of
2 to 3
learners, you're
weeks
not
to be
frozen anymore.
pretty good
Yeah.
though is impressive.
What
Actually,
was that?
I was saying 2 to 3 weeks to have like most of it healed up as far as like the long-term stuff is actually
Yeah.
impressive.
Well, the face is it's got a lot of vast
Blood.
vessels
Yep.
and stuff. Yeah, I in the Navy, I had to give first aid to somebody that had a bleeding head wound, and like within 30 seconds, there was already a puddle of blood on the floor.
I
Yeah.
really don't
And,
want to
like-
interrupt this, but can I check counterpoint, Mike? Mike, check.
what's up, sluts?
Perfect. And just the phrase I wanted. Okay, nice. As soon as Dylan gets back, I'll drop out and yeah, talk amongst yourselves until he does. Have a good night, everyone, and message if you need anything.
Thanks, Annabelle.
Bye,
Everyone
Danabo.
spam Danabo. Everyone spam Danabo. Tell him you need research.
Topics a day before positive.
Yeah. But yeah, so and I'm also moving cross country too. So like my set is going to change dramatically. So
Where are you
I need
moving
to
to?
refresh. I'm moving to DC eventually. DC, but I'm stopping in Cleveland because my partner is actually the field director for Nina Turner right now. So
Oh,
I'm gonna be
okay.
there for about a month. Yeah.
Well, DC would be closer to me. I could actually travel to DC relatively
Yeah,
easily
we should hang
instead of
out.
California.
It'll be fun. Should totally hang out.
There goes Danabo.
All right.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful. Oh, we already lost somebody. Well, another person banned. Happening every day now.
It's
Later.
done.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to what will be a very interesting episode of the Hippy Dippy Roundtable. I do want to also announce, even though I've said it a few times before, to everybody watching at home, that I plan to fly off to Poland on April 5th for the Dylan Burns, I guess, Poland arc. And there's a lot of information I cannot disclose, obviously. I'm still trying to like get everything together on like the final details, but most of it is everything's booked basically. We're actually booking the hostel we're going to be staying at tonight. It's actually quite a lovely place. So I'm nervous but excited. Nervous but excited. I just wanted to give everybody an update on that before we start today's show.
This is the
Okay.
first time you're going to meet Geek in person?
Yes, this is the first time I'm going to meet Geek in person. And then we can really start to pump out the content. Once we're in person, we're on the same time zone, and he's out of that dastardly thing we call a country, France. Now, let's go over the rules quickly, even though every single one of you guys knows the rules by now. But I'm going to ask everybody to pay close attention to the rules tonight, okay? Now, the first rule, as always, is when I'm talking, no one else is talking, okay? You might want to talk while I'm talking. You're going to have the urge to, but you're gonna have to be quiet because I am not here to give my opinion. Trust me, I have an opinion on tonight's first topic, and it will be delivered in a pre-recorded message at the end of today's stream. But during today's panel, you will not be hearing my opinion, and so I'm just talking, and I will mute you. But I like everybody here, so it's out of love. Okay, it's out of love. I swear to God. That's the first thing. The second thing is you will not be going after anybody's immutable characteristics. You do not go after somebody for being black. You don't go after somebody for being a woman. You don't go after somebody for being a league streamer. Okay? Okay, that one I'll let pass. But most of them, most immutable characteristics, you are not allowed to go after. And you will address people by their proper pronouns. If you want to do something off on your stream, that's your business, but this is my show, and that's a rule I have here. Everybody understand that? Wonderful. Third rule is I have a notepad. Please use it as a last resort, not a first resort. Most of you have been on panels before of some sort or another, so you should know that, like, obviously, like, if I write you down, I can't just throw you out there. I want there to be a natural flow of conversation, but eventually I'll get around to you. I know you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, Dylan wrote my name down 20 minutes ago and he hasn't said da, da, da. There are 8 people in this room with a lot of opinions. And a lot of you, I've put a lot of stacked people on today when it comes to how opinionated they are. Okay? So you're going to have to understand that these things take time, but I will make sure that at some point you get to talk. During intro and outro segments, you do not interrupt. Those will be sections about 1 minute at the start at the end of the show of like not the start at the end of the show, but the start at the end of every topic where you can give your opinion. Do not interrupt anyone else. That's like almost an insta like mute. So please don't do that. Last thing, warning for everybody at home. Nobody here is an expert on the topics we're going to be discussing today unless they note themselves as one. It is up to you to check the credibility and them calling themselves an expert. Please do not go to Twitch panels for all your opinions and everything, okay? We like to learn things here a little bit, but at the end of the day, please go to other sources, news outlets, other educated professionals, think tanks, associations, other places to get resources. And if you doubt someone's claim, you can go and fact check it for yourself at home because I'm not really going to be doing that today. So that's up to you. I'm giving everybody that content warning. Wonderful. And now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. And we're going to start with the person to my left. Counterpoints.
Hi. My name's Connor. I run a YouTube channel named Counterpoints. I identify as centrist. And yeah, I love Warhammer. And I'm a science fiction political philosophy nerd. And I love it yelling at people about politics on the internet. So thank you for having me. I love it. And hello to everybody. IRI, we've only passingly seen each other, but, you know, nice to finally be on a show together. Josie, I still haven't forgiven you for stealing my debate slot. Taftaj, good to see you again. Turk, Sprout, hello. And then Not So Erudite, I just want to compliment you. Your show with Destiny was awesome. It was super fun. So thanks for the content.
Happy to have you all here. Oh, I will also say that one last thing, I forgot to say this. I don't moderate niceness. If you don't, I'm not going to make you be nice to anybody else on this panel, but I will suggest it, that you get more flies with honey than vinegar. And I'll say to chat, I'll say the exact same thing. But if you cross any of my clearly defined lines, or if I see something and I'm just like, nah, I'm not vibing with that, I'm fine with my mods giving them the discretion to remove it. You can try to go for ban appeals if something was unfair, but we tried to make this a semi-accepting environment with all of you silver-tongued devils in chat, you monsters who like to rip people apart because you live sad and lonely lives. Okay, we're now going to throw it to IRI.
Okay, I go by I'm really important. I talk electoral politics here on Twitch. I guess I'm the biggest lib on the platform now, so awesome. Go Biden. I'm excited to engage in these topics with these individuals. Should be a lot of fun.
Wonderful. We're now going to throw it over to Josie.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am Josie Rose C. You can follow me on Twitch. That's where I do most of my content. I have a Discord at the Love Nest, which is absolutely wonderful. I do a lot of variety content, reacting. I've been a little absent from Twitch lately because I am in the middle of the largest research study that exists for trans people and direct that. So I guess when it comes to trans issues, you can look me up or take my word for it. I am an expert. I actually do research. That is what I've been doing for a living for the last almost 2 years now. So yeah, we talk about trans issues, we talk about politics, we do reaction, and we have a lot of fun and do entertainment. So yeah, thank you for having me today, Dylan.
No problem. I am now going to throw it over to Not So Erudite, this is their first time on the main show. Am I correct? Have you been on the recruitment show?
I have not, no.
You have not? Wow, you went straight here. Danabo must really like you.
I guess so, yeah.
You can introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Not So Erudite. I'm pretty new to the streaming scene. I tend to focus more on kind of psychosocial stuff, so my background is dominantly in psychology. I'm an addictions counselor and a psychometrist with a fairly extensive research history in social anxiety treatments and kind of clinical psychology topics as well. Yeah, and I'm excited to be here, kind of putting my toes in the politosphere purely. So obviously, only to defer to my expert opinion on the things that I actually have training in. Other than that, I try to do my best to have data behind what I say. But yeah.
Wonderful. Lonerbox keeps leaving. He's getting banned and unbanned live as we watch. And Loner, let me tell you, Heem is in the rafters tonight, looking at you, like, yeah, keep disconnecting. I want in on this topic. So you've got hungry wolves that see you as the weak link tonight. So you better be careful with that internet connection.
Shall I introduce myself now?
Yes, I just wanted to call you weak. Continue.
Listen, I'm Lonerbox. I've been censored for being correct and smart and cute. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch.
I should keep my mouth shut.
That's a nice water cup.
This right here?
No, loner boxes. It's like a crystal clear chalice.
Is it? Can I see it?
Look at that.
Oh, wow, that is good.
It's class.
Throwing it over to Taft.
All right, I'm Taff or Taftaj or April, whatever is easiest. I am unbounded by the political spectrum, but I think I'm usually considered to be somewhat like center right, and I enjoy having discussions. So yeah, looking forward to it.
We all love talking here. Talking is based.
So
Throw it over
true.
to Sprout.
I am DSprouticus. You can find me at twitch.tv/DSprouticus, twitter.com/DSprouticus. I'm a constitutionalist conservative. I stream. I talk politics. If you like me, come give me a follow. If you hate me, come give me a follow and a subscription because it keeps me around for longer, and you can hate watch me for longer. So yeah, feel free.
Okay, and I know a lot of the lefties in here are going to rage at what you have to say tonight, especially the Supreme Court topic. My God. But I do want to point out that Sprouticus was helping refugees from Afghanistan just a few months ago, helping them get settled in. So I do want to give him at least that little bit of rope that he can use against the lefties there. So I'm going to throw it over to Turk.
Yeah, so I'm Turk. I do science and tech here on Twitch as well as YouTube. I am a conservative. I might not be as far right as most people, but I like to think that I can be a pretty logical person to talk to. So I'm really interested in seeing where all of these different conversations tonight go. I've got plenty of ammo. I am a professional science person, so take that for what it's worth.
If Elon Musk has taught us everything, is that science and tech pros are right about everything and are never wrong. So
True.
Now let's go into the first topic of the night. We're going to start with the easy one. So Destiny was banned. It seems permanently from the platform, gone, vanished after 11 years on Twitch. And so this is a two-part question because, this is a big topic. I might even have to cut out the last topic because of this because it's like a big moment. The first thing is, should Destiny have been banned? And the second question is, what is the future of political Twitch? Those will be the two questions. I'm going to start with IRI.
All right. Well, as far as should Destiny have been banned, I can't say because we don't know why he got banned. It's up in the air. They gave like 3 different reasons, and it's anybody's guess what it was that he did, which I think is ridiculous. If Twitch wants us to invest this much time into their platform, they've got to let us know when somebody does something they don't like exactly what happens so we don't repeat that mistake. So I think it's tragic the way they've treated him. This is a guy who's invested 10, 11 years of his life into this platform. He created Twitch politics. I don't care what anybody says. Look at your favorite content creators. They all link back to Destiny. And I think we will all suffer because he's a huge pipeline for new viewers and new content creators. I mean, a lot of us here can attribute our initial success or a big bump in our viewership to engaging with Destiny. Whether you love him or hate him, he gives you content and he feeds a lot of people. And so hopefully that can keep up with him over on YouTube. As far as what's the future, I think people like myself will be okay, and probably most people on this roundtable. But how are new streamers going to get any attention? Destiny was the only big streamer who went on other people's podcasts, brought smaller streamers on his platform. You don't see that from other big content creators. They kind of leave everybody behind, and then they hang out with Pokimane and don't care what you think. So I don't know what the future is, but it doesn't look great.
Taft, I do want to say that you might have not gone to the same liberal elite cuck soy schools as the rest of us libtards, but you need to mute your mic when you're typing or the rest of us hear it.
Got it.
Awesome. I'm going to throw it over to Counter.
What IRI said, plus, actually just what IRI said, because basically as toxic and big of an asshole as he's been, as much as he's gotten into fights with everybody here and off platform, I think that a lot of those fights, however toxic or shitty they were, they brought attention to subjects, they created discourse for a couple of days, the fuel would burn out, and then we would have some result. I think a lot of people pointed out the formula that he used, which is basically create the most aggressively worded quote like in history, like even if we're talking about like a normal subject or a not normal subject, like phrase it in the most aggressive way possible and then get everybody pissed off. We'll talk about it for 2 or 3 days. We'll land at some consensus. He will mute his language back to something that's a little bit more agreeable in a debate, own somebody epically, and then we repeat the cycle. As frustrating as that entire thing was, it was predictable. And we've all basically been under that wave for the past, I don't know, couple of years. So the frustration is going to be is do we have another content creator like that who is going to be able to create that discourse? Or is, as IRI pointed out, is it going to be people that it's going to be like two-tiered class systems? Because the leftists on Twitch, ironically, are very pro-hierarchy. They like getting into the higher spheres of influence and then becoming inaccessible. Whereas Destiny, the liberal capitalist, was an egalitarian. He came down from his high fucking mountaintop of like clout and fucking money and came down amongst the swarthy masses in order to give us fucking content. So this is a twofold indictment. Yes, Destiny is an asshole, but he gave us predictable content. And then two, this is an indictment of all the leftists who are anti-hierarchy, except for when it comes to social clout on Twitch. So eat my metaphorical butt and yield.
Okay, now I'm gonna throw it over to Josie.
Hey, I agree that we should know why. I think that's important for streamers to understand what's going on and understanding what the content is. I can agree with that, but that is the only point I agree with. I think that Destiny is probably one of the most toxic humans that was on this platform and was a constant source of transphobia and harassment of trans content creators, particularly. He was not great when it came to women's issues, including laughing at rape victims, saying things like there are things that are there's a such thing as inconsequential forms of rape, right? Saying those exact words, brigading people. I've had to deal with personal friends that had mental health crises because of his large platform, and he brigaded people and put them having people do heinous things to those individuals. Twitch doesn't just only ban people for the content that they actually put on Twitch, but also through things that they say on Twitter. So the fact that there was the recent thing with saying the N word on Twitch and doing that Photoshop, he's setting a bad example. If this is the person that we need to go to be big on this platform, then that is an indication of how toxic this platform is. And I think that Twitch finally figured it out that they don't want that type of following on their platforms because it is because of his community that has made it extremely difficult for a lot of especially trans femmes on this platform to be able to get that leg up. And I'm sorry, like, you don't get a leg up as a trans femme through Destiny's community. You get called subhuman and you get blasted if you don't look a certain way. He has been doing this for 10 years and it's disgusting. And I think that he's created a terrible bubble. And I think that getting rid of this person is actually a good thing for Twitch and could maybe even set up this hierarchy in a different way where it is more dispersed instead of having to be extremely toxic to get a leg up in this platform. I am very happy personally for this, and I know a lot of trans creators that are also very happy about this. So I don't understand where this like, oh, you need to be able to do this so he can do all these type of things. I'm just saying, as a trans femme, I do not see that, and knowing the trans femmes on this platform, they don't definitely see that either. It's a good thing, and I hope he stays gone.
Okay, one thing. I just want to say one thing quick for chat. I am gonna be looking at chat hard tonight with my mods. If you do anything that I think's over the line, misgendering, anything like that, that's like an insta ban. Okay, that's like an insta. You're gonna be put on the wall. Okay, I'm gonna be running Dylan Burns gulags. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. And everyone in chat, you're not gonna tell me who I'm gonna platform. I'm gonna choose who I'm gonna platform. I'm gonna throw over to Loner Box.
Yeah, Destiny's a fucking asshole, but I like his content, so whatever. I don't think Twitch chose to ban him because they were fed up of his toxicity. If that was their threshold, Hassan would have been banned a while ago. I just think I've got my own personal opinion of what the threshold should be for people getting banned. I don't think Destiny really crosses that. I mean, I think that the toxicity of his community, maybe he underplays. I can definitely see that. Like, I know my partner a while ago made like a little video about xenogenders. Like, it had like 1,000 views, and it appeared on Destiny subreddit, and like the comments under it were pretty like just personal attacks and like appearances and all that. So I just thought like if that's someone with like a little 1K YouTube video, I can't imagine what it's like if you end up on his channel but with contention. But yeah, no, definitely didn't deserve to get banned. I don't think any of the stated reasons qualify to me. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Not So Erudite.
Yeah, I think IRA said it all pretty well. I don't think we know why, and I think it would be really valuable to know why for the community's benefit. Future of Twitch specifically, I mean, I'm super new in this sphere, so I'm probably not the best to predict that. But I think private companies have a choice to do whatever they want with their platform. If Twitch is maybe moving in a direction of wanting to remove politics from its platform for whatever reason, that's within their purview to do. I just think like streamers probably need to potentially anticipate that and then respond accordingly of whether or not they're okay with that and kind of go from there. Other than that, I think IRA said it all pretty well.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Taft.
All right, listen, Destiny, incredible trans femme ally. He's the only reason that people are watching me. I suckle on his teat of clout continually. He spawned Vosh, who spawned Demon Mama. So I think on the creating trans femme creator, he's doing pretty good, even if it means creating people who destroy him. But yeah, huge figure on the platform, hugely influential. I think when it comes to him getting banned, it's pretty obvious that he's a liability for Twitch. Twitch doesn't like when people have difficult conversations and difficult topics, or when they're challenging the progressive narrative. And they'll look for any reason to, ban those people off the platform. And I think that's terrible. I think that's terrible because social media platforms like Twitch wield huge amounts of power in the state of online discourse. And it's horrifically bad for our society when we become continually fractured into separate communities. I think that's what promotes extremism. It makes it so people aren't able to challenge bad ideas. And, when people are going to cozy TV or whatever, what you see is people get more and more extreme. So I think it's important that people are brought together to challenge each other and have difficult conversations. And I think it's disappointing that the economically efficient, business efficient move is to ban people like Destiny, because I think it's clear that he brought on a lot of people who disagree with him, people like Vosh and Demon Mama, right? And I think that's good that you have discourse that goes back and forth, and that's the end result of having controversial figures. So we'll get into it more, but yeah, I think it's not good that he was banned.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Sprout.
Off Taj being based. All right. So I think that banning people off Twitch honestly probably shouldn't exist. And you're gonna give me these extreme examples of what about this extremist? What about this extremist? What about this person that did this? What about this person that did that? It's much easier to actually take those opinions and to actually break them down and show your audience or show their audience why they're incorrect than it is for them to go to a completely different platform where you can't talk to them anymore. You can't show their videos anymore. You can't literally do anything but just mention them in conversation without getting banned for showing a banned viewer or showing a banned streamer. But with that, you are going to actually be able to break down their discussion, break down their opinions. You're going to be able to prove them incorrect. And to whoever's listening, you may bring back a few people who were extremists and be like, yeah, maybe this isn't as right as I thought it was. And for that reason, I'm saying that no one should be banned on Twitch. The Twitch community should come together. The Twitch community should prove bad opinions incorrect, like we're doing here. And then we should then move forward with that. And there's always going to be people who follow them. There's always going to be other extremists that listen to them. You're not going to change their mind. The people you're looking at is the middle ground. And that middle ground just moved to that new platform with that streamer. And they're just going to become more extreme the longer they listen to them and the less they have of actual discourse between the topic.
Okay, and for the last wrap up, we're going to throw it over to Turk.
Yeah, so I resonate a lot with Counterpoints and IRI. I definitely don't agree that he should have been banned because we don't know what he was banned for. But I also kind of resonate with Sprout because if we're going to be able to have true discourse on a social media platform, we need to be able to speak our mind and our opinions in order to flush it out and in order to further the conversation. Because if you just live in an echo chamber, all you're going to hear is that echo chamber. So and one thing I keep hearing is that like this guy is bad for these certain things. if you ever put the shoe on the other foot and look at things from a different perspective, a lot of the stuff that a lot of these other popular streamers are talking about can also be talked about as radical or insane or super crazy. And I think it would be good for a lot of people on the platform to take a little perspective and actually, try and feel and see what other people are trying to talk about, especially as we go into tonight's conversations. And then as far as his viewers, they may or may not leave the platform. There's still going to be a toxic community. What community are they going to land in? Are they going to remain as toxic? So you're not really getting rid of the viewers per se. So that, might be biting the hand that feeds you a little bit.
Okay, so I want to say going into this that I think everybody can tell that the lines are a little uneven here. And
I'll back up
so,
Josie. Don't worry about it.
okay, but I also just want to let everybody know that in my moderation, I'm going to be very careful to make sure that the person who it's 1v7 basically, that they have a lot of breathing room. We tried to book other people, but it just didn't work out. Other people were moving. Other people, people dropped out. People dropped in, and sometimes this happens. I made sure to double check with Josie in advance to everything would be cool for tonight. We still good? Everybody still good for doing this?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just wanted.
I just want to go ahead and start.
Okay, you can start. I think that's fair.
Counterpoints, go ahead if you want to say something. But
Oh,
I do
well,
want to make a
No,
point.
you go ahead and I'll back you up. Don't worry. It won't be 1v7. It'll be two. It'll be 1.5 versus 6.5.
Okay. All I'm going to say is that I completely acknowledge that everybody here is a person that is supporting Destiny in this. But I know that I'm taking an unpopular opinion. I know that just being on this panel against everybody here is going to verify the shit I was talking about. Like, I'm going to get people that are going to hate raid me probably during this stream. I'm probably going to get messages that are going to be very transphobic and awful. This is going to happen. And it is something that I'm going to have to deal with, because every time, even when I spoke up for a friend that he brigaded and admitted to brigading, I was the one that was also dragged for speaking up. This particular topic is exactly why it is hard to speak up, because his community is so large and the influence circle is so massive that if you speak up, you're going to get completely brigaded for it. And it is an absolute truth.
I mean,
And it is true. Tap, you are simping for him right now.
no, I want to
and
jump
you're
in
not
because I
gonna
want to
cover
sympathize
this.
with you a little bit, right? Because I understand. I've been on the internet, and like when I was 16, people on Politically Correct on 4chan were posting pictures of me, like, ripping me apart, saying the most transphobic shit about me. Okay, because I know I've been on the internet. I know how transphobic it is. But I think what we need to understand is that's what it's like, right? When you interact with any controversial community. And I think it's unfair to pin Destiny as this like transphobic monster, or his community as this transphobic, monstrous place, when Destiny has gone above and beyond to ban transphobic people when they're, saying transphobic things off platform.
But
If they're proven to be,
he's the
I don't think
He's not
so.
banning
No.
himself. Okay, Tap. Then
I mean, we
explain to
can
me
get
right
into
now,
this,
what's
but
the
yeah.
point? What's the point of him taking a tweet of a person who has like 100 followers and then putting them up as somebody who appears as visibly trans, and then go in and then have his entire mob of people go in and make that person eventually delete their account or go private? This has happened time.
Are you just talking
and
about him
time.
quote tweeting someone? Like,
No,
that's
I'm
the
talking
internet.
about him
If you
quote-
tweet at someone, you're gonna get quote tweeted. That's like
that's
internet
the point. You're
discourse.
trying to, but no, you're changing the topic. I said that action is transphobic, and he is doing
Wait,
that
what?
action.
Engaging with trans people is transphobic?
No, he's engaging with people trying to say, "Oh, look at this person!" Like, oh, you did like the one that I have on my phone about how he posted somebody, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, good luck." Parent completely going after that person's looks,
Thanks for the raid,
and then
sir.
making that person look like go private because he brigades people because of their looks. Okay, if that's not transphobic because you're just picking out a visibly trans person and retweeting them, oh, I'm gonna ban all the people who are transphobic when the first tweet is transphobic.
I don't think
is
retweeting
bullshit.
someone is transphobic. I don't think insulting someone who's trans is necessarily transphobic, right? I
On
think
their
that
looks,
like
it is.
no, not
On their looks, it
necessarily.
is.
Not
They
necessarily. It
you
depends on
don't
how you do it.
It
Because
is.
if you're telling them, if you're like, you know, you're totally unpassing, you're a man, you'll always be a man, that's transphobia. I'll agree with you, right? But if you're just like, if someone's coming at you online and you don't know anything about them, right? And you're in this bantery roast kind of culture, which is like Twitter and most of like early online political discourse, what do you have to go after except for like their profile picture? You might not even know they're trans, right? But I think this is the consequences of like being willing to engage and have free speech is sometimes you have negative interactions, okay? Like that's part of the internet. And I don't think it makes you transphobic if you beef with a trans person on Twitter or retweet them.
And don't these people start with Destiny half the time? It's not like he goes out looking for people to harass, Josie. I mean, these people react to him. Are you telling me that Destiny goes out of his way to find people to harass and then tells his community to brigade them? I mean, he can't control every person in his community. It's literally thousands of people.
So
I've been a member of his community for years. I've never seen him say, let's go brigade this person. I'm a friend of his. I've never seen him say anything like this.
okay, so explain this tweet then. If you are engaged in sexual activity from someone and you're surprised by a set of genitals, you are engaging in sexual activity with someone that that didn't give informed consent, which is rape. He's talking about people telling somebody that their genitals are when they're just there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you
that's not
start
rape.
having
That's a
sex with
general
someone.
statement.
That is not a general statement.
What do you mean?
Okay, wait. So, I want to have the question was to IRI, so I want to give IRI a chance to respond to that. We've had 2 people raise their hands, and so I also want to start going down that. So I want to have IRI respond to what Josie just said.
Well, I'm not familiar with that tweet. Was it to somebody particular? Did he at somebody? Did he quote tweet somebody,
So
Josie? I'm not familiar
he
with that.
responded to somebody who said exactly this. So we went from rape to probably shouldn't. And then he goes, if you're engaged in sexual activity with someone and you have a surprise set of genitals you're engaging with sexual activity with that they didn't give informed consent to, which is rape.
I just don't see how that's like harassing
That's not
somebody. It
Yeah,
seems like
it's
he's
not.
just waiting. He's weighing in his opinion. When you get on Twitter, I found this out the hard way many times. I say things randomly, and all of a sudden I get 200 quote tweets and all these people attacking me. Like that's part of being on Twitter, also. I mean, but it doesn't even sound like he's going after somebody. I'd have to see the whole
He
thread. I'm
goes
not trying to give you a
after
hard
the
time.
entirety of the community, right?
What do you
One
mean?
one
What do you
another one
mean? You
is
can't say
there's a
that.
reason I just started blocking all trans people on Twitter, trying to get away from
Okay.
that discourse because there's literally nothing of value in these communities.
And I said the
He's
same thing about
stonewalling the trans
conservatives
community.
recently.
Yeah.
I mean, does that mean I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
You're a
it is like
conservative
you-
phobe. It's true. Yep.
So, but here's the thing. If you're taking someone home and you're surprised by their set of genitals and they were not told to you, like I'm confused as to why you think this would be a correct way to go about it. Because I know you, Josie. I know you're very
rape.
No,
I'm
I'm not.
rape.
I'm not saying call it rape. Call it rape was extreme. But we all know Destiny was extreme. We all know Destiny was an asshole. No one's arguing that Destiny wasn't extreme or Destiny wasn't an asshole. But that's what brought along the conversations is he made a very extreme statement. And then that statement turned into a discussion. But I know you, Josie. I know you're very respectful. I think that you would agree with me that it would be wrong to hide the fact that you're trans intentionally and get in bed with someone and then they be surprised at what they find.
Especially if
Well,
they're
it would
having
be
sex with you
dangerous.
on the premise that you have a
would
certain
be-
set
it
of
would-
genitals.
Wait,
I
wait,
don't
Sprout.
think
Okay,
you
so
would-
Stop. There's a lot of questions
Sorry.
being directed towards
Sorry,
Josie. I
go
want to make
ahead.
sure Josie
Go
can
ahead.
respond. No, Josie, I'm holding it to you. 2 people just asked you questions. Unless
Okay,
Loner wanted to
okay.
respond unless you
Yeah,
wanted to
Loner,
handle
go
it.
ahead. Unless you
Loner.
want to hear, I'd let Loner go.
no, Sprout, because I just wanted to ask you. So, if you're saying that you don't consider that rape and that's extreme, then that's kind of someone who's like falsely accusing people of raping, then, right? Is that not like
I'm
quite bad?
saying
too?
I'm saying he went more extreme than what I'm comfortable with. I would not call it rape. Destiny called it rape. And he has his own reasons for that. He is an extreme personality. The tweets that he posts are meant to be extreme. They're meant to get reactions. Like look at his tweets. They're all meant to get reactions. All you get to do is scroll through his Twitter feed and realize that he posts more extreme than what he actually believes to get reactions. Now, he said it was rape. I don't agree with that, but I think you, Loner Box, would agree that it's wrong.
Well, yeah, probably. I'm just
Okay.
gonna make like a,
But
but I do
but
feel
but
like
the
going a
thing,
bit like, was it 2.5 against 7 now or whatever the fuck? Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
yeah. But the thing is, like, look, when this is what drives me nuts about the Destiny situation. Destiny, when we were talking about the stealthing discourse, he literally said that there are unconsequential forms of rape. And that was one of those unconsequential forms of rape. So now it's rape if a trans person pulls down their pants and they have a penis instead of a vagina, just for that act.
But didn't this get like Uno reverse carded on him recently with the whole stealthing discourse? Like the point being that like you can stake out an extreme position, and obviously okay, so let me do my negative indictment because I want to back up Josie a little bit. My negative indictment of Destiny is that some of the shit is just debate, and it doesn't really impact like the real world implications of what's being said. So for instance, I'm sure the reason why Josie is deeply offended by this tweet is because trans people try to interact with people on a sexual level. Rape is a very serious crime. So if there is a miscommunication and this incident occurs, then rape could be a pretext for violence within that. And this is a real conversation, not just an internet debate where you post like shit post onto Twitter and then, hey, bro, you want to come on stream sometime? Like that's part of the offense. I'll share that I was equally offended during the stealthing conversation because I think there was like a an unacknowledgement or a lack of acknowledgement for the capacity of people to basically have a fight, flight, or freeze response during a sexual interaction that they don't even know that they're going to have. And that showed a certain level of like immaturity or ignorance that he was very confident about. But the question is starting these conversations, having everybody fight about it for 24 to 72 hours, actually landing on relatively solid discourse ground, is that of value or is that not of value?
Absolutely.
And is it worth the initial offense of the extreme statement in order to arrive at the productive discourse ground? Or is it just so toxic that we should do away with it? And I think that's part of the reason why like Destiny stands are standing him is because, yeah, he's a fucking asshole, but he's a goddamn lightning rod who has sparked like dozens of discourses over the past 2 years, and those have led to solid ground. And it wasn't just the left that he was going after, it was also the right that he was going after with similar discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the heart of the discussion because I think there have been moments where all of us have disagreed with Destiny and disagreed with him vehemently. Like the tweet that you're talking about, stealthing. I thought that Destiny's messaging on that topic, I thought it was irresponsible. I thought he could have said things better. And I didn't totally agree with him. But at the end of the day, I think it's important you have someone, putting forth these controversial positions and questioning things and starting that kind of discussion and debate. I think that's essential on a platform like Twitch. And it's really sad to me that we've seen this incredible, just people moving onto their own platforms, this kind of echo chamber creation, and this push over and over to get rid of, to excise anyone who might challenge your beliefs. I think that's a serious issue.
Yeah, I guess when you look at the comment that you're saying to both of you is it is easy to say when the conversation isn't about you 20 times all the time, right? Like the idea of like where you're like, "Oh, it's starting discourse, but it's on the backs of people that are literally suffering." It's like, is that really worth it? Oh, it started discourse, it's what it is, but yet the people who have to hear it over and over and over. And I sent the link to everybody in this chat where he laughed and said something about a trans person killing themselves and says maybe we should start embracing the 41%.
Listen,
Right.
don't watch
But that's-
Destiny
You
if
know,
you don't want to
you know,
hear
I
from
don't-
Destiny.
look. Do you think I watch Destiny, or do you think that I'm dealing with the people that are triggered by his
Listen,
comments that are plastered all
log
over his
off,
Twitter?
okay? Like,
Like,
if it's
okay,
a
so
problem.
you see that is the win, right? The win is for me to get off the internet, so people like me aren't giving my opinions
Yes,
anymore. Just
yes. If it's
log
so bad
off.
that it's causing you
You
like
know?
serious psychological
So-
issues, don't engage with it. You're
Well,
not enforced to
but-
engage with Twitch
Wow,
discourse.
that's
Chad,
exactly
I'd like
what
to
they
interject here a
want.
little bit.
Wait. I want to let Josie respond to that, and then I want to throw it over to Turk because Turk rose his hand earlier. I want to make sure he can talk. Josie.
So the idea that now it's the responsibility for all trans people to just log off the internet if you don't want
No,
to see something transphobic.
Don't watch Destiny.
Well, let her
I
finish.
I don't watch Destiny. I go and on Twitter and I see my friends who I interact with posting something that Destiny said, and that is what I have to interact with. It's the same thing with J.K. Rowling. Do you think I follow J.K. Rowling? Do you think I go in and look at J.K. Rowling? Absolutely not. But every time she tweets, I feel it. It's the same thing that happens when Destiny says some bullshit. He
Listen.
goes in there and he does that, and then his little network goes and just makes an entire ripple effect across the internet, causing severe damage to a community that is literally under attack with 184 bills across this country coming after us in a very specifically targeted way. And when the man like that goes up there and says,
Is
"Oh, maybe we should
Destiny
start embracing
responsible for
40
the trans bills? What? No, like you can mute words on Twitter.
obfuscate.
If your
Don't
friends are like
obfuscate.
constantly sending you Destiny like tweets or
obfuscate.
pictures, like ask your friends not to do that or mute the word Destiny on your Twitter. Like you can take responsibility for your own
blaming
mental
the
health.
victim, then. So blame
Yeah, because it's entirely self-inflicted,
Oh yeah,
right?
okay,
Like
yeah, yeah. So blame
entirely.
the victim. Yeah, when he makes a joke about maybe we should embrace the 41% joke.
He didn't say that.
Yeah, he did. I put it in the tweet.
No, he
Take a
said
look.
he's trying to be above board and not
No,
embrace
go
it.
look at the thing. I literally put it in the chat. Go and look at it. Don't try to be.
I've seen the
willfully
clip.
ignorant
I've seen
on
the clip.
bullshit. Well, he said maybe we should start embracing the 41% then. Yes, he did say that.
He said it's
Don't tell him
hard
that he
not
didn't.
to, right?
Oh my god! Oh my god! You understand?
But then he doesn't want
to.
I do want to say right here that
Saying it's hard not to.
wait,
sorry.
give me a moment. That usually we would play the clip in question so we could resolve it that way, but for obvious reasons, we cannot do that. So people will just have to find the clips at another location in order to find whether Taft or Josie is correct here.
Yeah.
I do.
So,
Sorry,
Josie,
Counter.
I do have a
gotta
question.
cuck you, and Sprout, I have to cuck you too, because Turk has been waiting longer than both of you.
Yeah.
Um,
So I've got just main points here because Josie, I want to be sensitive to this topic because you are obviously very impacted by what's going on here. But what you said earlier or maybe Dylan implied this, that it's 1v7 in this topic. I don't support Destiny as a whole creator. I support the fact that he shouldn't be banned because I believe everyone should have a chance to be on the platform in order to give their ideas, kind of like what Taft is trying to say. And if people don't like his ideas, we need to reinforce that what he is saying, what he is spouting is not a good idea because people can change their opinions. I've had my opinions changed on these panels, and thanks to Connor pointing out Destiny's thing, I've learned additional stuff. So it's like, just because you are impacted by this and you feel like you're being victimized by it, not everyone here supports Destiny in this tirade that you're victim complexing on.
Yeah, can I say real quickly, like Josie, I understand he says something once in a while that is bothersome, and I'm not discounting that at all. I mean, who am I to say that that's not hurtful, whatever? I don't agree with everything he says. I barely look at his Twitter because he pops off on Twitter because you have to be more bombastic on Twitter to get attention. That being said, he has brought on a ton of trans people. He has brought a lot of focus on trans issues. And do you not think the net positive outweighs the negative? Really?
No, he hasn't brought in trans people the way that you're saying.
He's brought
It's
them in
just
front
not
of
true.
hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, to get slammed. Like, that's
No,
not a
he's had
good
great
thing.
conversations about trans topics with trans
the
people. He's shown them
videos-
respect like nobody else has.
The video specifically that I watched from Destiny had that person on there, and I learned an incredible deal about it. So yes, some of the stuff he's saying is bad, but there's also the other side of the coin, right?
I mean, didn't he bring you on quite early on when you were running for office?
When I was running for office, I did. Yeah, he did.
Wasn't that
And then
good?
he immediately called me. And then he called me subhuman after I just criticized lightly on what was going on.
He's called he calls everybody subhuman. He's
Look.
probably called me subhuman at one point.
He's definitely be subhuman. I can guarantee that one.
Yeah. All I am saying is that what he has done by brigading, especially trans femmes, and like, look, he's gone on and he's said specifically that if you are not he, him, she, her, they, them, then you're not trans. He has specifically said those words. He has recently in the trans debate completely started using transphobic talking points to try to prove that trans women don't belong in sports. Like, there are so many examples of how he's done it. And laughing at the 41% joke was appalling to have. I cannot
What is
believe
there except for he,
that-
she, they, them?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, what? Fucking
like,
dear.
Pronouns, fair. Like there's so many.
Yeah,
there's,
like
there's
garbage
also
internet
other
bullshit.
ways. That is
So-
not garbage bullshit. That is real life. That's people's identity.
That's real life.
Are you talking about people making up? Are you talking about? I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking about neo-pronouns too.
Yes, neo-pronouns. People making up their pronouns. There are certain
fair, all those type of things. Look, all I'm trying to say is like this whole thing about like trying to invalidate people's transness is bullshit. And that's what
If your transness is being a deer, I don't know if you should have like
no. Okay. To be clear, we're not going to get into
this is what it's about. This is
because not everybody here is equipped to have the conversation, and I know nothing about it, so I have no clue if the conversation is going any way responsibly or not. So we are gonna have to just swerve out of that direction. I'm just gonna
You
say
sure,
that straight
Dylan?
up.
I am an expert. I am a certified expert in neo-pronouns, so it's up to you, though.
There you go.
I appreciate it. Sorry,
Fact check, let's go.
I do want to throw it to Not So Erudite, because Not So Erudite has said nothing yet, and she raised her hand. On the list, we have Counterpoint, Sloan, or Sprout. Does anybody need to be added? Turk again? Okay. That's all right.
Yeah, so I've been hesitant to jump in because I think like the reality of the like 1.5 versus 6.5 is really real. And I want to be like really careful of adding to that. If you guys are maybe open, I'm really interested in kind of more of the meta question in this conversation, which is like, to what extent is provocateur behavior beneficial for certain political discourses? How can we use it to benefit certain groups? And to what extent does it maybe sometimes harm the exact group that maybe it might be aimed at helping, or vice versa? Because I think like a lot of this is like pretty extreme provocateur behavior that we're taking issue with. And so I'd be curious about like, to what extent, like where do we draw the line on these things?
So let me answer that question for you, Erudite. I don't draw the line. I think everyone should be allowed on Twitch. I think everyone should be allowed to have their voice heard. I think that if you are going to be an extreme person and you're going to try and post and publish these extreme views, then you're going to have people that are going to go against those extreme views. You got people that are going to be able to break down that argument and actually prove it wrong by breaking down the argument in front of their own audience. The people that are in the middle, the people that aren't convinced on each side, because let's be honest, you're not going to convince me to become a liberal. I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me to become a liberal. I'm a conservative. But the people that are in the middle of both sides that aren't convinced, they're going to listen to what you say and they're going to be like, okay, I do realize he's wrong. But without you being there with these extreme websites where they go to, where basically it's just extremists that Twitch has banned or YouTube has banned, and it's just become extremist central over there, that they're going to become more, I forget the word, extremized. Radicalized. They're going to become more radicalized just by being on that site, because there's no actual discourse happening. They're just stating what they're saying. These people are taking it as fact. If they were on Twitch, they would have people saying, no, that's not right. Look at this and how I break it down and how it's wrong. And take this and here's the facts, right? But with these extreme websites, they're going to become more radicalized. They're going to become more extreme by the second because no one's there to say, no, this person's wrong. And as a matter of fact, we can't even play their videos on Twitch. Otherwise, we're going to get banned. So we can't even play their videos and say, look, this is where he goes wrong.
You can't
Otherwise,
criticize
we're
them.
gonna get banned.
Can I ask? I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to do this, but can I ask you one question, Sprout?
Yeah.
If Jihadi John started a Twitch channel and he started going like, man, look at, oh my gosh, man, those Americans dumb, man. ICE is actually pretty cool, boys. I mean, like, what would do you think that person should be banned? Jihadi John, you know?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I wanted to say about
By the way, I do want to clarify, Jihadi John would play League, okay? And he'd probably rank higher than Destiny. Okay.
What would he play in League? What character?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know enough about League to tell you. Which means I'm pure.
I
Okay,
just
so we
wanted to say about the
Zillion.
Okay.
We got the list. You're second on the list, Counter. I mean, Loner, sorry. I'm mixing up. Counter.
Yes, I'm gonna capitalize on this. So I disagree with Sprout. I'll bring my centrist nuance thing. I think that we should start socially enforcing real life rules where if you were in public and there was a trans person there, you're not going to run up to their face and start misgendering them aggressively without getting your getting punched in the fucking face. So no, I don't think that the internet has like a unlimited amount of rules where you can be as rude and shitty as you are on the internet as you are in real life. I think real life rules should apply. If this is something that can get me punched in the face, then it is something that can get me a suspension off of a social media website. I think that is a fair guidance to start enforcing. And then going into discourse on the back of trans folk. That was the one thing that Josie said that like I super identify with because I was offended by one discourse over the past 6 months, not every other discourse for the past 6 months. So I'm sure it could be exhausting. And I sympathize with that part. But the truth is that a lot of these discussions aren't settled. They're only settled within certain spheres of the internet. And what I mean by that is that whether we're talking about neopronouns or trans folks in sports or something like that, these are settled within lefty spheres. But the truth is that they don't dominate all of social media spaces. And there are other people that these arguments need to be had for. So while it's deeply uncomfortable, and I understand that because, like I said, I've only been offended by one discourse in the past 6 months versus every other one, I think these discourses need to happen. As a matter of fact, you can even see the progress within right-wing spheres where I know that this is crazy to think about, but the fact that some trans folk are accepted within right-wing spheres because they're binary trans folk, and now the progress has moved to, okay, binary trans folk are a thing, but now non-binary isn't a thing. Or gay people are a thing, but polyamorous people aren't a thing. So you can see the kind of the progression of discourse as it moves. Of course, conservatives and traditionalists are going to absolutely hate this, but the truth is that the language and the layout has completely changed because of discourse, and ignoring at least the fact that we can even have these conversations, I think does a disservice to the kind of conversations that you would be having in 2011, 2012, because basically what would happen is two people would show up, one trans, one non-trans. The non-trans person would have started saying slurs, and then they would have been kicked out, or the trans person would have quit. That would have been the quality of discourse that would have been happening in 2011 or 2012, whereas now we're having conversations about, well, what are the lines on sports? What are the what are the hormone replacement profiles? How long does it take for competitive advantage? What are the kind of sports that we can kind of like move into safely versus not safely? These are all nuanced discussions. We're just all dickheads with webcams, so the conversations suck. But yeah, that's where I'm saying, like, as shitty as it is, I think that there is real progress and productivity here, and I'll leave it with that.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Well,
Go
I'll
ahead.
throw it to Josie.
Go ahead, Josie.
I'm gonna
Yeah, I
say
wanna let
one more
Josie.
thing real quick. Okay, so
Put you down,
so
Ira.
like so is everybody okay with Nazis not being on this platform? Just question.
No.
Hands up.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, no.
So y'all are all okay with Nazis being on this platform?
Yes.
I debate Nazis, yeah.
I'm willing to
So,
debate them too.
honestly-
Yeah, they need to be defeated. Like they need to be like brought out into the light and systematically destroyed. Right?
I
They're
wanted
out
to,
there,
even
and
though I'm
people
not
know where
even
to find
supposed to
them.
respond, I want to just
Yeah.
put for the record that I want them banned. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So do you think it's Twitch's prerogative and right to ban Nazis off this platform?
I
Yes.
think a private company can do whatever a private company
It's their
wishes to do.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
No.
do you agree then that would you say that the reason Twitch would ban Nazis off this platform is because they don't want that to be affected with their brand and they don't want to be associated with possibly hurting real life people with their points of view? Yes?
Yes.
Mhm.
Or they
Okay.
could stand up for free speech and
Okay.
let everyone have their own place in this
So
in
I would
Discord.
I would assume it'd probably be the same with KKK and really any affiliated hate groups like Dylan was talking about, like jihadists.
Equally bad stuff happens on the other side of the political spectrum too, by the way.
Sure.
So equally
If
needs to ban
somebody
those types of people too.
pinkies, if maybe I don't know, like we can have that conversation, but as a trans woman and through all of the conversations, like TERFs are a hate group, right? TERFs are people who want trans people eliminated, they want them dead, they want them lynched. They the gender critical group is a radicalization pipeline to the
I
basically
don't believe
elimination of
TERFs
trans
want
people to
this,
be
by the
able to
way.
exist in this world. So for me, when I see transphobia and people who agree with those types of ways, I see them like Nazi, right? Because they want to see me dead just as much as a Nazi wants a Jewish person dead, or a extremely bigoted racist or a KKK member wants a black person dead.
And plenty of
for me-
anti-fascists want people like me to
I'm
be
sorry.
gone.
I hate to interrupt,
So-
but Danabo, our mover and shaker head, okay, has just provided me a transcript of what was said earlier, the entirety of the back and forth. I think everybody's okay if I read it. This has to do with the 41% joke. Is everybody okay if I read it?
Sure.
Okay. Somebody donates, and the donation message says, "Take comfort from the fact in 30 years, this person will kill themselves." Destiny responds, "Jesus Christ, it's tempting to embrace the 41 jokes, but I'm trying to stay, I don't even know why. This one, I'm trying to stay above board."
That was what I wanted to bring
Yeah.
up earlier. It was like, because
So-
Taft, you were saying that like he said that he didn't want to say it, but yeah, he said it's tempting to embrace. I think you can. I mean, I think we can agree
Take
that
that
like
tempting
there's a
to
pretty
embrace.
there's a pretty
edgy.
But
fine line.
like his end
okay.
result is that he doesn't want to, that he's trying to be above board.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Like,
I
that's his
agree.
conclusion.
Okay.
Hard not to.
Yeah,
Come
so, okay,
on.
like,
Josie,
plausible-
Josie, I have a-
Guys,
Okay, wait.
Wait,
Let's not derail. Okay, let's not derail.
Anyways, can I finish my point really
I'll let
quick
you
about what I
derail.
was saying?
I'll
Yeah,
let
I
you
just wanna
finish, and then
finish
I
my
want to get to
point.
the list. Erudite, I'm adding you. Counterpoint, you're already on it.
I'm saying as a trans woman, and I know a lot of trans people in this space also agree with the fact that TERFs and transphobes are a hate group that leads to the want for us to roadblocks ourselves to the point where it's like it's tempting to want to let that kind of thought go through your mind. That's what I'm talking about. The fact that the end result is for us to be gone and eliminated and dead is the reason why Twitch is going to probably start cracking down on this type of behavior, because it is ultimately ending up with the fact that suicide rates of our community is going on the rise currently because of the fact that there is a large community in society that don't even want us to exist. And a lot of these people are parents.
So,
And,
Joe-
and people are losing their lives. So this type of behavior increases that mental stress that is going to cause people to lose their
You know
lives
what?
with
Josie, I have a
tandem
question.
of all these bills.
Banning him doesn't get rid of those ideas, though, right? It doesn't disappear
he's a
trans
leader
folks to
of
move
it,
them off
though.
Twitch, right? It pushes
But he's
people
a
into an
leader.
echo chamber. Like, even if you believe he's this horrible transphobic
Look,
like person.
Nazis are in a echo chamber, and so are KKK members, and
Okay.
so are all these really viciously violent people
Josie,
that want us dead.
And it's bad that society's become fractured in this way, okay?
It's not
And when you
bad because
push,
I don't
like,
see it.
if you believe he's transphobic, right? Banning him off Twitch, it doesn't delete the transphobia from the real world. Like, if you don't want to see the transphobia on Twitch specifically, again, don't watch Destiny. Don't engage in spaces where Destiny is brought up, right? And as far as transphobia in the real world, that's going to exist whether or not you ban him. So the solution, like, of banning him doesn't actually fix the problem in any way that you couldn't personally fix yourself by modifying how you engage with the online sphere.
Josie, so I have a
Can I
couple
jump in
questions.
now?
I have a couple.
I want to go to the list. I'm sorry. There's a list here, a list that's developed over time.
If I wait, then it's basically gonna be irrelevant if I wait.
I've been waiting for fucking ages.
That'd be funny.
She'll
and
be
that's,
irrelevant.
And that's why you're gonna wait, because it'll then be funny, and I'll say haha. So I'm gonna throw it to Loner.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go back to the 41%
You're next,
thing.
I
Okay,
promise.
so yeah, so Taft, like, of course, okay, yeah, he said like it's tempting to say that I don't want to, but I don't know why I don't. Like, okay, come on, like plausible deniability here, right? Like, I know you're saying that just because he said he doesn't want to do it, that means he's definitely, not okay with it. But it's like, who wouldn't actually agree with that argument you just made? Is Destiny. He very convincingly makes the argument about Capitol Hill and how Trump technically didn't say go and storm the building, but he basically, put plants the seeds and like allows chance to take its course. And that's the same with like if you say like it's tempting to say that, oh, I don't know why I don't, to an audience of like thousands of people. It's an orange light at best. I think you can probably also agree that like the difference between that and calling someone like a subhuman piece of shit. Okay, whatever. If someone calls me a subhuman piece of shit, like I guess if Destiny does, I'll call it a rite of passage. But like there's a bit of a difference between that and invoking like targeted like 41% is very targeted at a very vulnerable group. I mean, like,
Yeah, I think
you
we
can
can
probably
find
say
some
they're
middle
direct
okay.
ground.
respond.
I just wanted to say one more thing as well about the Nazis. The difference with the Nazis, though, is that like it's the behavior that goes with the ideology. So that's like I think everyone who engages with Destiny in a bad way and he hits back at them. I don't think I often see it when people don't fire first, right? He reacts to people like I don't think I tend to see him like go for someone unprovoked. That doesn't seem to happen. Whereas Nazis will attack people who didn't provoke them at all. That's their typical pattern of behavior. And I don't think you should expect people on Twitch everyone to have like balls of steel to expect targeted harassment from Nazis. Because like if there are a bunch of Nazis on Twitch, they will deliberately target gay and fucking trans people and all that. And then those trans people will get chased off the platform. So you actually, Sprout, you don't actually believe in free speech when you say that. You believe in taking a side and letting Nazis chase people off the platform because they will do that.
Can I do a direct response to that?
I need
Sprout.
Okay, so Josie, do you believe in the ACLU? Do you support the ACLU?
Yeah, they fight for equality of humans.
Okay. Do you understand the ACLU has defended Nazis before? Has defended like the worst of the worst speech before?
Yeah,
Sprout, they
because
defend them. So, sorry,
yeah,
go.
go ahead, Loner Box. Go ahead.
Yes, like the ACLU, well, as far as I know, I might be wrong, is they tend to defend people like more from like in a legal sense, whereas we're talking about Twitch. We're talking about a platform, like a gaming platform with terms of service. It's not really comparable.
Well,
Twitch
has become a platform where it's open discussion. That's what Twitch has become. It's become a platform that's been open discussion. And I think that if you're going to make it a platform that becomes open discussion, then you need to implement the laws of free speech, because at that point you practically make yourself the town square. Just as Twitter actually they testified underneath court that they were practically the new town square. So you can look at social media as the new town square. Now, with that being said, the ACLU has defended Nazis before. They defended the worst of the worst speech before. Why? Because you need to defend the worst of the worst speech in order for there actually to be free speech. Because if you don't defend the worst of the worst speech, then there is no free speech. Eventually, your speech is going to be bad speech, and you're going to be banned for what you're saying if it keeps going down this line. Now, that is why the ACLU defends Nazis, defends the worst of the worst speech, because free speech depends on the worst of the worst speech being allowed to be said.
Again, the ACLU were defending so I think their big controversial thing was they defended like neo-Nazi marches, okay? Because again, this is a legal sphere. We're talking about Twitch, where again, like, do you think that
according to CBS News,
I need to know if you think this though, but if you think Nazis being on Twitch, do you think they will succeed in harassing like trans people or vulnerable people off the platform? Will they succeed in doing that? Do you think they'll try?
No,
to do
I honestly don't think so. I think people will still be here. I think this is a very low platform for the right, but yet I'm still here. I think you will find people that are of a certain class that have enough self-security that they're able to actually talk and not be able to take the shit that people give them and be able to continue to push their message. Those are the people that are going to be the icebreakers, and they're going to be able to allow so many more people of their thinking to come behind them. And I think that's where you're going to find people to break open the area for their thought of school. Or their school of thought. So when you bring it up that way, no, I think there's going to be an icebreaker. It's going to bring their school of thought, and then people are going to follow that icebreaker. They'll be like, you know what? I'm going to start talking about this too. I'm going to start bringing this up too, because this is a matter that is important to me, and I think that I need to start talking about it.
I'll bite the bullet,
So-
loner box, and I'll say, yeah, some trans people are not going to feel comfortable on the platform. If there are people who are bringing up controversial things, or there's a community of people who go into chats and challenge trans people on very fundamental things that they don't want to talk about, for example, like their gender identity, the core of who they are, and whatnot. But I think that we have to one, give people the tools to manage their own community and to ban people. And if that's not enough, I don't think that there's like I don't think there should be like a fundamental right to use, to just go anywhere you want without ever seeing any kind of controversial items. I think it's good for society and for the health of our discourse that there are controversial topics discussed and that those things are discussed and challenged and debated openly, right? And I think it's negative if we are just catering to like the most sensitive people in society and modeling how we do discourse off of that.
Can I pretty please respond?
No, Turk has to go. He's been waiting longer.
Go
Fuck
for it, Connor.
me.
Go for
Thanks,
it. man.
Turk. I love you so much. All right, so Loader, I wanted to respond to you directly. So number one, I just want to explain kind of like my generation, because I think Destiny and I are approximately the same age. We were saying horrific shit, mind-bendingly like awful shit in the 2000s, and we thought it was hysterical. F slurs, N slurs, T slurs, every slur that you could imagine, just strung together in sentences. Instead of like, we basically boiled it down where we were playing like tactics in Call of Duty, and instead of calling out actual tactical moves, we were just using slurs for communication, okay? That's what the thousands were like. Now, as we've evolved as human beings, we've had to stop doing that, but there's always been this temptation to say evil, nefarious, edgy, taboo, dog shit, okay? It's just on the cusp of every single white man's heart to just spam slurs in chat, okay? So basically what I'm saying is there's always a temptation to be edgy. There's always a temptation to be a piece of shit. There's always a temptation to be a dick. And with that 41% joke, while you're reading it as, oh yeah, actually I agree with the 41% joke, I think this all comes in the context of Destiny basically losing his Twitch partnership like last year, which I think was like $250,000 or something like that. And so I think that being frustrated with a certain caliber of woke person that you don't agree with on where the lines of language and humor are, it can lead you to being frustrated and making shitty, edgy fucking jokes. So I can see where you guys are saying it's cutting one way, where he just wants to say a 41% joke because he hates fucking trans people and he wants to stab them in the chest. I could see it going the other way, where he actually genuinely does like trans people, but he's fucking pissed off and he's tired of all these woke scold fucking dickheads policing his language. So he just wants to say something edgy and shitty in order to throw a grenade in the room. I am telling you, this is the way most people feel. As a matter of fact, within my Discord, because I debate leftists primarily, is primarily made up of leftists who hate fucking leftists. So it's literally leftists using the fucking F slur all day. And when I'm drinking a beer and playing Halo with them, I have to remind myself that it's not 2007 and I'm playing with a bunch of bisexual men who love using the F slur and I can't use it. So the point being that this is all immediately under the surface, and it's more in this pseudo professional setting where everybody puts on the pseudo respectability of the TOS. Okay. And then I did want to bring this up. The second point that I wanted to address is you were asking whether or not there should be fascistic thought leaders within social media spaces and if they should be allowed. I think that if you are promoting an ideology, however nefarious, whether that's Islamism or basically not jihadism because that's specifically violent, but like fascism or something like that. I think that if you're articulating this as an ideology to be studied and understood, but you're not violating TOS, then that can be like debated from an academic standpoint and left alone from an academic standpoint. Where it crosses the line, though, is when you start engaging in the negative behaviors like brigading, harassment, stalking, all that kind of stuff. And I would like to see not only enforcement mechanisms where you get banned off of social media platforms for doing that stuff, but also like criminal shit. Because basically, if you're doing like stalking, Let's say that you're stalking somebody, you're trying to dox them, you're finding their personal information, you're publishing it online, you're harassing them, you're calling their family members, you're publishing their financial information. If this was a in real life scenario, that would be a prosecutable crime. The only reason why it's not a prosecutable crime is because we're on the internet and there's no enforcement mechanism. So on one hand, I want broader freedom for ideologies to be propagated. On another hand, I want these negative social behaviors to be policed, both from a TOS and also potentially from a legalistic standpoint, depending on how far it goes.
If I can provide an olive branch and maybe a bit of middle ground too, I
Well-
agree. I think
I'm
that, like,
sorry. I need to silence a trans voice and hand it over to a conservative man. Okay? Turk,
Fucking bigot.
I'll take Connor's spot later.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll trade it. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, y'all are having good conversation, and I don't want to,
Okay, I'll throw it over to Taft, and then we have Irai, then Erudite.
okay, yeah, just to find some middle ground. I think it's very legitimate to ban people off of the platform if they're, for example, using slurs, or if they're like actively encouraging their community to harass people, not just engaging with a trans person, but actively saying, like, you need to go harass this person, get in their mentions, say these things to them. I think those are like legitimate bannable things. And they're not productive. They don't, contribute to the discourse or whatever. And so I think that if we're just banning those things, yeah, I think I'm all for that. But I also want to agree with, what Counterpoints is saying. And that's that, if you're discussing, for example, like radical Islam beliefs, but if you're doing it in a mature academic way, in a way that, like, isn't actually planning a crime on stream or engaging in violence on stream or using slurs, I think that that needs to be something that we have the freedom to openly debate and discuss.
Okay, next is Irai.
Oh, so I just want to speak about Josie's point in general about hateful people. I think that these groups of Nazis and bigots and racists, they're hateful because of a lack of empathy. And I think that comes from a lack of exposure. I know when I was younger that I had some negative ideas about people because I only saw things on the internet or in movies and stuff like that. I grew up with Ace Ventura, you know what I mean? And there was some bad things in that movie that made me feel one way. But once I got older and I was exposed to more people, that got rid of those things. And I realized these people are just like me. And so I think if you take that away and his audience, Destiny's audience, for example, and they don't see him engaging with anybody, then they're going to continue these negative stereotypes. Maybe that's just my opinion, but that's my lived experience. And I think that, especially on Twitch, where 6% of Americans use Twitch, 1% of them regularly get their news. How many people is Destiny reaching with this outburst once in a while? And again, I don't think that negates all the good he does. I think that there are people out there that look and research and find ways to prove a point and fit their narrative about Destiny and completely ignore all the good things he does. And I don't care if people say, this guy's just kissing Destiny's ass for help or whatever. It's the truth. I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you want to respond to that, Josie, since that was in response to your general point?
Yeah, and we can start wrapping this topic up because it's just gonna go around and around again. So I will just say that with the picture that Taft and painted and Connor just painted of like Destiny being this academic research, like well-meaning, like all this type of stuff. He has openly many times talked about how he's aggressive to people, that he goes after people with smaller platforms. He's been abusive. He's just abusive. And he should have not been on that one point when somebody gave him money on a dono is like, oh, that's fucked up. You're out, right? That would have been able to say like, no, fuck you, dude. Like you're gone, right? But it wasn't. It was like, oh, it's hard to not, go along with that, right? But he knows that he's walking that edge of almost being banned. I mean, hell, he even went on NFTs because he knew he would eventually get banned for this type of behavior. And I'm gonna push back with you, IRI. I love you. You know that. We fight on the same battlefield of politics and trying to get good legislative policy that helps people. But in my opinion on this, like having people who do good things sometimes and then does a lot of negative harm a lot of times is not a justification to keep this going. Like, look, Destiny's been banned many times for these type of behaviors, many times and came back, many times and came back, many times and came back. And it's just Twitch is just tired of it. And so for me, I look at it as hateful behavior that has been platformed over and over and over again. And the trans community, I'll tell you, the trans community has been very happy to see this aggressive person leave this platform because it makes our community better as a whole of this community of Twitch streamers. And even if you liked them and maybe he platformed you, maybe you didn't, the fact of the matter is all of you are good enough without Destiny being here propping you up. And
So-
and it's about having that content that you can create, that you can be able to have good intelligent discourse. And don't get me wrong, we're supposed to debate trans sports later, and I really want to get to that, and I want to have an intellectual conversation about what the advantages are of HRT and how it equals things out. And I'm ready to have that intellectual conversation because it's very relevant to the fact that 83 bills in the country, 74 bills across the country are trying to specifically ban trans people from sports. I'm not saying that we can't have discourse about trans people. I'm not saying that we can't have an intellectual conversation about their existence. Look, me and Sprouticus had a very good conversation about trans issues, and it turned into a great conversation, and I feel that it did an actual good. But having a continual aggressive person that does attack and does do this harassment campaigns on people is a good thing. And if you got to believe that logic because you have to play it through. Like
Can I
he's an
just respond?
aggressive individual.
Can I just respond quickly, Josie? To me, this is the same as Bernie Sanders taking Joe Rogan's endorsement. You've got to deal with some people that aren't perfect in order to achieve change.
Joe Rogan
So-
isn't calling like isn't Destiny in a sense, right? Now
Joe
Joe
Rogan's
Rogan has his
worse.
problems.
Joe Rogan's
yeah.
Joe
worse.
Rogan
So, Josie-
And Bernie took his endorsement, and he was thrilled. Thrilled.
look,
it wasn't even a great
look,
endorsement.
I am not I am not here to defend Joe Rogan, but I will tell you that Destiny is worse because of its individual attacks on trans people.
So Josie,
Because that individual attack can lead to self-harm of people, not Joe
So,
Rogan.
Josie,
I
do you
guess-
think that people who generally talk bad about trans people or talk or even transphobic, do you think they don't deserve a space to actually talk where it's not going to be people that are just more radicalized, and to where actually people like you can pop in and say, hey, this is where this is wrong, this is where this is wrong? Do you not think they deserve that space to actually engage in the public discussion?
I mean, I've had many of those conversations that weren't Destiny, right? And that's the thing. Like Destiny has specifically and look, do you realize that a lot of the reasons why a lot of people don't go after Destiny in particular is because they're afraid of the backlash, doxing, attacks, all of those things. That's a very real thing. Like, I mean, everybody here's got to know that, right? Like nobody takes a shot at Destiny because of the fact that his entire community will dogpile you like
I
shit.
feel that
It's
fear every
impossible to
day
go after
because a
him.
lot of the people
Plenty
on
of
the
shots.
left
Take
love to
shots
do
at
that.
Destiny.
I'm gonna-
He's a
I'm gonna-
fucking
Wait,
asshole.
wait. Everybody stop. Erudite has been waiting a while. They're next on the list, so I'm gonna throw it over to Erudite.
I'm struggling because a lot of these accusations, like I would understand Joseph being like, I agree that there are times like I would never say the things the way that Destiny does, basically ever. That's not my style. The issue is that like a lot of these claims about like brigading and all these things like seem like pretty unsubstantiated, like when I've like looked into them. And my concern is that like there seems to be like a bit of a narrative being built of like vilifying Destiny, which is completely flying in the face of so much good that I've seen. And yes, there's going to be problematic elements, and I'm willing to explore what those are and the proper responses to those things. But my issue is that it feels like right now, like there's so many accusations. I have like some of the things that I've seen that are being levied at him and his wife and his family are like mind-blowing targeted attacks, whereas most of the stuff I've seen from him is retweeting specific individuals in a public space versus getting like, I don't think he's DMing people. My understanding is that when people in his community are going out of their way to brigade, to hate on people, to do any sort of like banning and toxic and like these behaviors that I would agree are super toxic, they get banned from all of his
That
communities.
Dono didn't get banned. that Dono didn't get banned. He made a joke about it immediately. And look, Erudite, I'm not trying to sit here and say you're wrong and you don't understand on how what's happening. Look, I know a lot of people who have been personally hurt by Destiny when it comes to what his community has done, and most of them are trans femmes, and it's very clear. And look, do you think that all these trans people are just lying about it?
Josie, can
the
I
issue is
point
that there's trans people on the other side that are supporting him, and so it's like the issue is like to act like it's like this
Not as
unanimous.
many as the other way. It's not. Look, are you trying to say that all of these people who have made this claim over the last 11 years are just lying about it?
Honestly,
wondering as
I
well,
would
because
like to
how
see
many-
way
Wait,
more.
wait, wait, wait,
I
stop,
would like to see evidence for
I just want to say,
propagating and things like that.
Loner, stop talking over trans voices. That's terrible.
Listen,
Okay.
Destiny's gone. Someone needs to take the role, all right?
Okay, sorry. Erudite, you can finish quickly?
Yeah, it feels like a lot of these allegations are like fully aimed at just being like Destiny is a big evil villain, which like fly in the face of so many things that I've seen of him, like debating with staunch conservatives, making a space in the Twitchosphere for leftists to actually exist. Like it seems like so many of these claims that you're making, like you're making huge claims right now.
I am,
and it's
because
like I haven't
because
seen
they're real.
evidence
Josie, can I back you
for
up?
any of this.
Yeah.
Josie,
And
can I
that's-
pretty please
that's a
back you up?
concern to me.
Okay.
Okay,
Connor,
so-
you can back them up, then we gotta go to Turk.
Yeah,
who's
so-
been waiting so unbelievably patiently. Loner, write your name down.
Okay, so I love like throwing playful elbows at the DGG community. Sometimes they're not taken playfully, and also, we've had debates in the past where it's been contentious. I'll put it that way. The way that the DGG community often dogpiles is literally getting into your mentions and saying, I'm not harassing you. Where's the picture of harassment? Where's the picture of harassment? Where's the picture of harassment? And it's 50 fucking people in your mentions asking for the pictures of harassment. So if you took a snapshot, like literally, if I took a snapshot of the people who were in my mentions, or if I took a snapshot of the people who were in other people's mentions, it would be 50 to 100 fucking people saying, I'm not harassing you. Which, by the way, for me, is the digital equivalent of somebody sticking a fucking finger in your face and pretending that they're not in your personal space. So while I do understand, like I'm halfway with what Erudite said, where I haven't seen substantiation of the like stalking or doxing or criminal activity or anything like that, but I have seen Twitter and fucking comment YouTube dog piles basically do like I said, not saying a malicious comment, but 500 fucking people saying a mildly annoying comment. And to pretend that that's like borderline, like I'm not saying Destiny endorses this or anything like that, but to me, that shows a certain cleverness within the DGG community where they know that as long as they individually don't say, hey, you're insert slur here piece of shit and I hope you kill yourself, then they know that if they get screenshotted saying, I'm not harassing you, where's the photo of harassment, but there's 500 of those motherfuckers, they can basically have the intended emotional effect without having the receipts actual effect. So that's where, for me, this area is a lot more fucking nuanced than DGG Sims want to fucking do.
Hey, Connor, you think Destiny can control even 50 people saying stuff in his community? This guy has thousands of people
But
watching him.
it's
He has
his
no control
personality.
over this stuff.
Can I do the direct response? I think that, okay, so I think this is part of where I'm sympathetic to both sides, because I'm a content creator and I went from, 1,000 subs to 15,000 subs. There are a lot more people who are saying annoying shit to me every fucking day. And the fact that they don't think that I will come down and say, hey, motherfucker, here's the stupid shit you fucking said. The fact that they think that I won't do that makes me do it more. And I quote tweet the fuck out of people if they're being annoying and shitty to me, because fuck them, right? But
Destiny's a huge operation, man.
True.
Everybody thinks he's some
True.
guy who just presses start stream and then he sits there all day and replies to Twitter. The guy's got businesses and stuff, man. Like, he
okay.
goes on tours.
No,
Like,
but
come on.
this is what I was going to say is, so I'm sympathetic to Destiny's perspective, where people come at you and they think because you're big, you're not going to go back after them. And it's like, fuck you, I'm a human being. I got feelings. I'm coming back after you, right? I'm sympathetic to that part of it. The part of it that I think we have to acknowledge as a power dynamic is that if you're a fucking person with 100 follows or whatever, and you quote tweet that motherfucker, then they're going to get dogpiled. It's just the nature of the beast. And then here's one more thing where I'll say towards Destiny, because I'm acknowledging the power dynamic that I think goes against him, is one of the things that he has said in the past, and I think this is an almost verbatim quote, is I don't start that, right? Like, I don't start that. You come after me, you better believe that I'm going to come after you. And if you don't want me to come after you, then don't fucking quote tweet me in the first place. So I think that's almost fair. But I also come from like a Christian meta ethic where like if people are being dicks, it probably means that they're having a shit day for a different reason. And I think he's probably evolved enough to know that he's like pissed on the shoes of a lot of fucking people, and to act like those people, it's a cycle of violence. Okay. So pretending that you're not perpetuating the cycle of violence is a little bit, it feels childish at some point.
I think you also have to consider like what kind of side you're on when you're doing this, because I remember for ages I used to think like people would complain about the Twitter left. I'd be like, what? I don't understand this problem. Like, where are these people? Until I tweeted out that Kyle Rittenhouse was in self-defense, and then the fucking onslaught, like the bad empanadas and the fucking the gang comes in. And then and these I actually found that a lot more rabid than anything I've got from DGG. I mean, I'm watching their chat when I speak, and they get pretty like. They don't seem to like me, but it's like there's like a bunch of knitted scars, it's not really, I don't really see it as like that intimidating. But like when you I think what was I going to say? I don't really know that many examples of people who were attacked by Destiny who didn't throw shots at him first. I mean, you can definitely make the point, I mean, that there are times when he like gets into this weird like one-upmanship, and it's like, I think for me the Doe thing was like pretty fucking inexcusable. But like I feel like a lot of people who actually go for who get this attack from Destiny are people who throw shots first, right? And I don't know, I think like using that as a reason to get rid of someone off the platform is just really I don't know, I think it's maybe confusing like politics with like just being like in a safe space. And I think like if you're not really going to be in a space where people are going to attack you, because it's not like this is exclusive to Twitch, right? Politics since the dawn of time has been about people attacking you and brigading you and sending you mean letters. It used to be people sending you mean letters or turning up outside a politician's house. It's like, if you're not prepared to like take those kind of attacks, then maybe like you're not doing politics, or that there's a sphere of politics that you shouldn't be in.
I guess like my issue with a lot of this is there is so many claims being made against Destiny that has so little evidence behind it. And it's like there's some serious claims being made when I've publicly watched people call him a rapist, walk it back a little bit, but then like still make claims that are actually inaccurate to what he'd even claimed before. And look, the stealthing conversation, I've said openly, I don't think he said it in a great way at all, right? The issue is that like there's so many claims being made against him that are unsubstantiated, these brigading claims and everything. And it's like, we need to be really careful before we make claims about people when we have no evidence for it. Like,
I have evidence. When I was brigaded, when I went and made a comment about Destiny brigading Maddie, I was put on his D panel. There were people calling me, oh, look at this open mouth, like blah blah blah. They were calling me, they were even saying transphobic comments. There was like that clip went around in that forum for a while. And that's how that went. Like and if you don't believe brigading happens, then you just call me a liar. Then just do that.
I
Because
didn't
that's
say
exactly what you
brigading
say.
never happens. I said I need evidence that Destiny has actively coordinated or encouraged or been behind any of these brigades, because absolutely there are going to be bad actors in the community, and I'm unwilling to even see that there are not people. The issue is that you are not fully culpable for every action. You have to do your best to control your group as much as possible, and then apologize when they screw up, which is why when I went on a debate with Chud and I got a ton of misogynistic comments and stuff, I just took it directly to Chud and he just handled it personally. And my understanding is that Destiny does that all the time as well.
But that's not actually the case, because he continues to create it over and over and over. They're like, you realize that he continues to create it over and over and over. Exactly. It's like pointing the finger at somebody and being like, don't arrest this person that I don't like. It's like, come on.
I mean, if you're on Twitch and you're debating someone and you're engaging with that person, like the inevitable reality is that some people are going to dislike what you said, right? And I think it's a far cry to say, listen, I engaged with this big figure and a lot of people disagreed with me and came into my chat and made that clear, versus, oh, Destiny actively coordinated this brigade of someone. He got people together and said, we need to go into this person's chat and harass them. These are very different claims.
This absolutely cuts both ways, though. Okay, and the way that it cuts both ways is basically, I think I spoke to it earlier. It's a content and attention farming tactic to be outrageous, to have somebody onto your stream, to debate them, try to make them look like a fool, and then basically end the interaction. And then if people hate you for the way that you engaged with that content, then you basically you quote tweet the shit out of them or make fun of them for the lulz and the memes. And I'm addicted to this pattern as everybody else is. Josie was talking about like a better Twitch where we have a less toxic environment. I'm as addicted to the blood sports as everybody else. I don't think a better Twitch is possible. I just think we're going to get worst iterations of the same pattern. But at the same time, is there not some responsibility for the clout farmers' perspective, where maybe it's not fair that they got banned, but also you kind of have to accept? It's the same thing with like Vosh with like the pedo comments. It's the same thing with Vosh with the Glass Israel and all that kind of stuff. He knew he was making an inflammatory comment, but he also knew that he was going to get attention off of it, and he's been paying a price ever since. This is the same thing with the stealthing conversation. This is the same thing with having the debate with Hans of Arkir immediately after, where he was emotionally compromised. This is the same thing as having the basically knowing that the entire of Twitter sphere, political Twitter sphere, was sensitive about trans sports specifically because of all the banning bills, but saying, hey, listen, I've been doing research. I'm staking out a position and I'm going to go on a 9v1 fucking panel debate against people affirming my position. Now, I think that can be productive. I think that can be awesome. But when you meme too close to the sun, you get fucking torched. This is Icarus all fucking over again. So, it cuts both ways.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the list. Turk, your time is now.
Yeah, so basically, this could probably be my closing too. Rose, I completely feel and I want to continue to be respectful to the conversation that's going on, but you got to remember, if you put the shoe on the other foot, there's plenty of other people in other communities that have been dogpiled and have been put on really strict notice in all of these different social media circles. There's been a long time as a conservative where I've had a target literally on my back, and if I show my face on a panel, I get dogpiled. You could probably mention 5, top tier, political panel shows. If you're on that panel, you're gonna get attacked. So you kind of grow a little bit of a thick skin. You kind of expect some of the attacks that are coming your way. So it's like, you can't just say, hey, I can't, this is not fair on me because of X, Y, and Z. That's how discourse happens. It happens on people's backs sometimes. And it's unfortunate that, that's how it starts. But if you can't, do the damage, you just need to, find alternative ways to discourse.
Okay, I'm going to throw it now over to... Next is Sprout. Unless Josie wanted to respond to that.
I mean, I could talk about it real quick, because I know we probably need to move on to other as well. But the idea about if you don't like it, like getting dogpiled is part of the business and everything like that. And it's like, look, I am against anybody who's going to be using brigading tactics, using abuse, going after people's immutable characteristics. I don't care if they're left or right. Like, I debate like people on that side too. And, any type of behavior, it's like, I'm not just saying, oh, Destiny's the only person that is doing this and da 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 da. It's just that Destiny is banned now, and it's indefinite, so we don't know when that if he's ever going to come back. We know that happened. And
Wait, how do you feel about Cracker?
What do you mean? I think
Counter?
well, it wasn't used. It wasn't
How
used
do you
on
feel about the
counter.
C word?
I am against anybody using any type of slur at somebody for their immutable characteristics. I am. Like,
Beautiful.
if
I
somebody's
love it.
saying that about an immutable characteristic about themselves, I'm against that type of rhetoric and that type of behavior. And it comes back to Twitch again. Like, Twitch wants people like me on the platform too, Turk, not just a bunch of cis white guys all the time. Like that's what it is. And Twitch knows that trans people that who are people of color in particular, femme presenting, have a very hard time and a very short shelf life on this platform. they know it's a good business decision for them to have more content creators that are a little bit more diverse instead of them getting bullied off by certain individuals. And look, like you said, meme too close to the sun. He's been here for 11 years. That he should know better out of anybody else on this panel on how not to get banned on Twitch. But he has continually pushed that button, and
But he
now he's
doesn't know why
gone.
he was banned.
He'll probably know later. But we all know that it's a cumulation of probably of a lot of different things. So when it comes down to it, like Twitch is making a business decision to try to keep people on this platform. Hell, do you think like look, I'll tell you a personal thing. I thought about leaving Twitch after the Destiny debacle when the Brigaders came after me. Like I seriously considered it. I was like, maybe I shouldn't be here on this platform because I'm a professional. I have a day job. I do this for a hobby. This isn't something that I'm doing to try to make money and make this my full-time career. It really did seriously cross my mind. It was like, is this really worth it? Is this really worth being on a platform where people are going to come at me like this? I thought about it. I really did, and I almost pulled the plug, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna do Discord only." And I decided not to. My community said that they're gonna fight for me to be here, and I'm glad I stayed. But in reality, it's people like Destiny that make it very hard for people who look like me to stay on this platform. And I know dozens of streamers who are no longer a part of this platform because directly his behavior and behavior like his that brought those people away from this platform, and now they're not content creators on this platform. I love Twitch. I love the community here. I love the community of streamers. But I almost left because this wasn't something that was important for my financial future. And that's the reality. And I think Twitch is making a decision based on that, where they're just like, you know what, we want to have more inclusivity on this platform. And if there's one person continually being reported over and over and over again by people saying he's transphobic or saying he's sexist or saying he's a rape apologist or saying he's platforming pedophiles, like all of these things are a part of the entire collage that makes this platform not great for people who look like me.
And that's
And
why I'd
that's
like
what it
to
is.
go back to what Eurodite said. There needs to be concrete proof, and we need Twitch to provide said proof that said this is what broke the camel's back. It needs to be provided, not just these theories of, oh, well, the blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, he's done some bad things. A lot of people have mentioned that in this panel. He's also done a lot of good things. And it's like, we need to know what the actual reason was in order to condemn that action.
I said
and
that at the
going forward.
beginning. I said that at the beginning, Turk. I do not disagree that Twitch should give a reason why. I'm not against that. And so for me, if Twitch wants to make that business decision to get people off this panel like him, or not panel, but sorry, off this platform like him, then for me, it's a safer space for me now. I'm just gonna say
until
it.
the next Destiny or someone like him comes up and does the exact same thing, it's not going to stop. Sorry to
I
break
know
your
it's not
bubble
gonna
there.
stop, but it's like it's like a streamer gate ready to happen.
Do you think we could maybe
FPV
give it,
rising.
Josie, do you think we could have an example of like maybe what you think the worst thing Destiny's done and maybe just see what the panel thinks about that? Like just
The worst thing? Well, I named a couple of things, like the thing that he kind of like, oh, it's hard to not
What?
do the 41%. What? Go ahead, IRI.
What about what about the good things he's done? Like,
Um,
why are we all so focused
why
on the
don't
negative?
why don't
Nobody
we
ever talks
name
about the
why don't
good
we?
stuff.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Destiny
IRI.
has
What's the
done
best thing? What's the
extraordinary
best
stuff.
thing that Destiny's ever done?
He lost the
don't
Hippy
know.
Dippy Championship to CTV. That's the best thing he's done.
He created the
Amen.
online left sphere in all of Twitch and created just politics in Twitch and basically by himself, like to a large extent. He
He's-
made this
That's-
space possible.
He's also enabled
a
the
large
careers of a
thing.
lot of trans women. Like, look at Demon Mama. Like, Demon Mama can directly trace her existence on Twitch to Destiny creating the space and creating a platform for Vosh.
Demon Mama
and
has been
therefore for Demon
stagnant
Mama.
because of like Destiny has continually went after Demon Mama and her
Like, doesn't
women's
Demon
space.
Mama
Demon
use
Mama
the like
does
the
deal with
open
the
source
no
code
backlash.
for her
okay,
website created for Destiny?
Wait.
That is
Finish.
not true.
So-
That's
wait, I'm
disgusting that
gonna.
you
Hey. Okay. let's stop. One person. So I didn't hear what Taft said. I didn't hear what Josie said because 4 people were talking at the same time. So I'm gonna have Taft repeat what they're gonna say. They're next on the list anyway, so it's perfect. And then Josie can respond. Taft.
The reason I bring this up is because people act like Destiny's been this like malignant force that has like pushed trans people away. And that's absolutely not the case. Like the reason why we have trans politics and these discussions happening on Twitch and these political spaces where people like Vosh and Demon Mama and all these other people are in it and engaging with it is because Destiny created that platform. And I think it's the perfect proof of how when you have controversial ideas, people rise to challenge them, right? And so I think that's fantastic. I think you need to have people like you, Josie, on this platform, discussing and challenging ideas. I don't think you're right about things. I don't think you're right about Destiny brigading, but I think you need to be able to have discussions. And I think it's a terrible shame that Destiny was banned for that reason.
Taft, do you have an example of I'm sure you'd agree that doing good things doesn't exempt you forever. So what probably a silly question. What would Destiny have to do for you to go okay, thanks for the help, but you're kind of over the hill now?
I think if we looked at Destiny's involvement on the platform and we saw that as Destiny rose and grew in prominence, you had trans creators that were then leaving, right? And that was a problem. You no longer were able to hold on to these trans creators. I think that would be a really good point in the favor of okay, Destiny is actually this malignant force that is pushing, trans creators off the platform. But it's the opposite. The longer Destiny's been on the platform, it's gotten more and more progressive. So the effect that Destiny's having, if anything, I think is creating the progressive and the political space.
I thought of something, Josie. What about the fact that Destiny got hundreds of people to come out to canvass in Georgia and contributed to us taking the Senate and getting a trans woman reviewed and confirmed as Assistant Secretary of Health? I mean, it's not like he's solely responsible. He got a lot of these young kids out there for the first time to knock on doors. I met a lot of these guys. They would have never ever come out.
Inexcusable.
Yeah, I do door knocking. I used to do door knocking for a living, IRI. Like the idea that Destiny got some people to go knock on Georgia. That's great. But he also made a candidate lose. He also made a Democratic candidate lose as well. He also made a Democratic candidate lose as well because of his some mayor. Do you think that local politics is important?
Oh, come on. You're discounting his operation where he invested tens of thousands of dollars and weekend after weekend and even pay. I mean, he inspired these kids to come out, Josie.
That's great. But you know what? And he also lost the campaign. But I'm not going to go down that road because look, I people go out and knock on doors, and do you think that there were millions and millions and millions upon millions of dollars that were flooded into Georgia for that race? Just as well as I do.
Ask Afro Sabi what she thinks about Destiny's contribution. She won't tell you he just got some kids to knock on doors. Come on now, that's not fair.
But the thing is, I'm trying to get my point. There's a lot of people in here now.
I got you. No worries.
Go ahead, Erudite. I'm going to recollect my thoughts.
Could I maybe just ask the panel, who here would have a career if it weren't for Destiny actively boosting and promoting them?
Would or wouldn't?
Who would or
wouldn't? Who wouldn't have a career without Destiny, basically?
I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I don't know. I wouldn't be where I'm at now for sure.
He's had an impact. I like to think people like me for me, but
I've debated him before, and I think that brought a lot of my viewership up. But I wouldn't attribute my entire channel to Destiny. But I think that him being in debates that I've debated on have majorly contributed to the amount of debates I've been able to be on.
Sure. Yeah, how many people do we know of also use his website copy that he just freely gives people that he's fully paid for to help boost their own platforms as well?
Like Demon Mama?
I think, Josie, Dylan, you mentioned it before, and you asked him personally to use it as well, which is super great. Demon Mama, I believe there's a couple others as well. Vosh potentially as well.
But here's the point. Everybody believes in the bump the Destiny bump, okay? But the truth is, a lot of his audience follows him, and they love him, and they like the blood sports and all that kind of stuff. And this cuts both ways. So debating Destiny is good for anyone. And on top of that, I want to personally, because I think he's watching at this point, give him fucking props because he's one of the few larger creators that will debate smaller creators. If you got a fucking problem with him or a problem with his perspective, you send him an email and he says, okay, I'm streaming at this time. Let's fucking run it. And even if you're a shitbag, even if you're not the best at public speaking, he'll fucking run it with you. That is a huge public service to the Twitch community because the truth is a lot of other people are very optical with their choices or they're very selfish with the way that they spend their time, where they're like, hey, I'm a fucking 1K or 2K or 3K fucking Andy, or I'm a fucking 20K Andy. I don't have to talk to your fucking 50 viewer bitch ass. And they don't. So that's kind of where that boosting, I think, is huge and a massive public service. But, the thing that I just wanted to push back on with your point is I do think this space would have existed without him, but I don't think that the amount of people who were able to crawl from a small tier to a medium tier would be anywhere near as big if he wasn't willing to do the debates the way that he does. So, yeah, that's an overwhelming positive.
And I'm just gonna say one thing, IRI, like, who won Georgia? The black voters that actually went out there and registered and organized black voters to go and vote. It was not Destiny. And
I
to
didn't
try
say it
to
was
say that
Destiny.
it was like Destiny was like the big linchpin that made sure that Georgia won is garbage, because it
I didn't
was
say
that
that.
organizing effort that actually got there to make it be where it is. Like, you can
I
point
didn't
to
say
one
anything
good
near
thing.
that.
But I'm just
I didn't
saying
say
that you
anything near
are
that.
putting a lot of weight on that. And look, and I see
It
that a
deserves
lot
a
of
lot of
people
weight.
here,
It deserves a lot of
he,
weight.
and he like so the fact of the matter is, when we're looking at this platform and we're looking at the things that are happening here, with what we are talking about, oh, he contributed to the space and all that type of stuff. Yeah, and he also knew better than anybody what would get him banned off this platform. And he's been pushing that line for a long time.
No one
And
knows what's going to get you
Imagine
banned. Twitch is awful.
being a creator who doesn't try to push the line in order to get the competitive edge to continue growing their career. I mean, come on.
what do you mean? You think that you have to be an abusive, abrasive asshole to be a good creator on this platform?
When your shtick
To
is
be a
being
big one.
abusive, yeah, not abusive, abrasive.
Like
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
all, how many huge,
Bespoke.
huge streamers that exist outside of Twitch politics? If anything, Twitch politics is a stunter in your ability to grow viewership on this platform. Like if you really think
And
about
if
it,
you
like
look at
what's
his
actually getting,
statistics over the past 5 years, his views have not been growing. They've been flat.
yeah, because he hasn't changed the formula, because the formula has been dog shit.
Or
And-
this
Well,
Well, it's
part of
actually
the
been working. He's
platform is
actually made a
pretty
lot of money
flat.
off this. His
What?
formula has actually been working. And like
He also
any
lost money
any
because of
big
his formula.
any big streamer that is in Twitch politics is gonna be seen as an asshole by one group or the other. Let's be 100% honest. Politics is very divisive, and
Okay,
whatever side you sit on, the other side's gonna see you as an asshole who doesn't know shit. So I mean,
Yes.
I don't know where you're going here when you're saying he was an
Ultimately,
asshole as a Twitch politics debater. Yes, we all are. We all are assholes because we all have opinions that other people disagree with. They'll be like, that person's an asshole. I guarantee in Dylan's chat, there's 25 million people calling me an asshole right now. I guarantee
For a
it.
million people.
Yeah, but
Josie?
when we say
wait,
asshole,
no,
Wait,
go
that was-
ahead. I'm finding the evidence here. Go ahead.
Okay.
yeah, when we say asshole, okay, like I know at the whatever, I'll join in the whole done good things and all that, but like when we say asshole, like we all know that Destiny's brand of asshole is like pretty unique, right? Like it gets pretty harsh with people. Like I don't know, I guess you can just maybe say like, yeah, if we all agree that he's done all these good things and is very good for small creators, well, maybe if he'd behaved himself, he might have lower chance of getting kicked off Twitch and could do more.
But also a lower chance or a higher chance of being fucking boring and not attracting as much views. So that's like that's the thing about it is you can get a small audience that likes you. I got 140 people in my fucking chat right now. That's fucking awesome. It's a great night for me. But at the same time, like, if you're not an edgy, abrasive douche lord who gets fucking clipped out of context and fucking thrown onto LSF and other platforms, then you are going to have slower growth and you're not going to rock it the way that everybody else does. Again, like, I'm just going to repeat this one more time. Vosh literally cut his teeth on basically a pedo analogy in glassing Israel. That's the glassing Israel guy, and then using that notoriety allowed him to rocket up the platform along with his rhetoric skills. Destiny, I hate to remind everybody, he was the fucking incest is ethical guy for a long time. So basically he took an indefensible position, and it became a huge meme in the community, and people were like, oh, those weird fucks over there. But he also trashed a bunch of people in debates. So on one hand, we can say, oh, you need to calm down, calm your tits, don't be so edgy. Don't post the N-word to Twitter, Destiny. Jeez. But at the same time, part of his edginess is also what attracted all of us to his platform in the first place, is we knew that even if it was a boring conversation, if one or two memes came out of it, people were going to watch it. And so I think it's easier to coach or teach than it is to be the thing.
I tell you what, going forward with this Ukraine and Russia stuff, I'm scared to live in a world where it's just people like Hassan saying that Russia's justified to take Crimea. You know what I mean? There's nobody to push back on voices like that. So I think people will rue the day. People will rue the day that a voice like his is gone, because who's going to stand up and say, nah, dude?
My issue with all of this narrative that is frustrating is, like, I actually am really, really sympathetic to, like, the trans community in general. Like, I care quite a bit about the community and the suffering, particularly from a mental health standpoint, right? The issue is that everything that he's done wrong that you've, like, pointed to, Josie, I feel like you've been really, really not characterizing. You've been characterizing it in probably the worst possible light. I'd say some of them are bad, yeah. But when we look at the good things like he's done, like IRI brought up, it was incredibly dismissive, right? He actually boosted you as well. He gave you a free interview. He helped you when you were also doing, like, political stuff. And I'm not saying, like, now that don't hear me, I'm not saying, well, you should just be grateful. I'm not saying that. You can be boosted by somebody and then later decide that you fucking hate them. That's fair enough. But the issue is that the characterization and the narrative you're using, the one example I said, can you give me an example of brigading? And the example you said is, I went into a chat, said some things. I imagine that you pissed people off, I'm guessing, right? And then a bunch of people jumped into your chat and talked to you. Do you have any evidence of Destiny saying, go, guys, get into a chat, go and brigade her, right? Do you have any evidence of Destiny coordinating this? Or do you just have it where you instigated a bunch of people in his chat and then they jumped into yours? And did you bring those transphobic people to him so that he could ban them? Because he's very clear that he'll do that.
What about the 24 people that I've had to ban in my chat over the course of this entire debate? What about them? What about those?
What do they have to do with anything?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna dismiss like all of these things and all these claims. And the second I say, hey, my community's already had to ban 24 people here in this chat, with somebody literally saying, welcome from the DDG community, and then immediately going at me. Like, Josie, you realize that this is this evidence of, like, did Destiny go and tell me to do that? No, but I'm saying his name negatively, and now I'm getting brigaded for it. Like
that's not a brigade, though. That's not a brigade.
This is people disagreeing with you.
No, it's not.
One of the
Josie, you know how many people I have given my chat when I go on Hippy Dippy and then disagree with me, and they came from another viewer's chat, and I've had to ban them or they just leave because I'm not addressing their comments? I feel like that's just a part of debate, to where it's when you're in a debate, people from other communities' chats are going to pop in yours to tell you exactly what they're thinking, because they think they're important, and they think you're gonna care when they type in your chat telling you how shit you are and how much shit your opinion is. And it just doesn't happen. There's a guy, Wyatt, I don't know who the fuck he came from, but he came into my chat telling me how shit my opinion was. I said, hey, I'll talk to you on Discord afterwards. And he's like, nah, leave. How many times have I been hate rated?
Have you been hate rated on this platform?
I've had probably people come over from other viewers' chats.
Like literal hate raids,
by
like
Destiny.
Okay.
Have you been hate rated by
so
Destiny?
when you're saying hate raid,
trans women on this platform, you get hate rated quite often.
Okay, but we're talking about Destiny.
When you're saying hate raid,
wait.
I'm not saying anything about Destiny. I said hate rated. Period.
You're not saying anything about Destiny.
Freaking shocked about
what
it.
do you think this conversation's about? It's
I
not
don't
just
know.
about
The thing is
random.
that the fact that I'm getting hate rated right now, the fact that I'm now my moderators are now sitting there doing more because I sit there and I talked about being hate rated. Like, do you understand that it's
Listen,
literally happening in my community?
I've
Go in my
said some
chat.
real
Go in
fucking
my
dumb
chat
shit
right
before.
now.
And
Okay,
can
I've
I be
said some
clear, Josie?
terrible
If anyone in my chat goes to yours and does things like that, please screenshot their name so I can ban them immediately.
Yeah,
I
screenshot any
genuinely
names.
want you to do
So
that
just,
for
just,
me.
just, just screenshot all of the people that I just banned and send them to you.
Ideally,
Sure,
yeah, I
why
would like
not?
to make
But
sure that my
because that
community
seems
isn't
like a
doing things like
really
that.
reasonable thing for me.
Look,
You don't
look,
have
look,
to,
Josie.
but that what else can we as content creators do to try to protect things like this? And this is the issue: is Destiny has done actively this. I would say Destiny has gone above and beyond for tone policing and controlling his community as much as possible. But there are limits to it, and a lot of the limits that we have is that we have to be reactive in how we tone police. We don't have a ton of opportunity for proactive other than the things that we talk about and promote within our actual content.
I'm just
I'm
wondering. I
saying
can't think
that
of like.
banning Destiny helps.
Is there like any big creator you could like take shots at and not get a few of them in your replies or your mentions or your comments or anything like that? Like, is that possible when someone's got like a few thousand viewers? Like,
I don't think so. I think
I
when
make
someone
fun
has
of
a few
Hassan
thousand,
all the time.
I think when someone has a few thousand viewers, if you mention them and tag them to where their viewers are going to see them, or if we're a debate like this, where probably Destiny's watching right now, I would probably assume he's probably on YouTube watching this debate right now, watching us talk about him. But if they're watching us talk about him and they're like, hey, I want to talk this person because they're disagreeing with the person that I watch stream all the time and I believe in what he's saying, yes, like I think that would happen. I think that if you're going to talk bad about somebody, then someone from their chat is going to go into your chat and try and defend them. That's just kind of the play of the game. Every time I've been on Hippy Dippy, I've had people from other communities come over to my chat and tell me how shit my opinion is. I've seen Dylan's chat. Dylan's chat absolutely hates me. I find it hilarious. But I mean, honestly, I make jokes about it. I tell my haters to subscribe because it keeps me around longer for them to hate me longer. They have more of a hobby hating me if they subscribe because it keeps me around. So, I mean, I don't know. It just depends on how you look at it. And I feel like you're taking the most like anti way to look at everything right now. And I feel like it's just because of Destiny. I feel like it's just because Destiny's name is there that you're taking the most anti view possible and then trying to publish that.
This has been something that my community has been dealing with since they've been on the platform. Okay, like, do you realize that there's been something that I in my community have dealt with? This is the first time that I've actually openly talked about Destiny since 8 months ago. And if you were to look at my chat and before all the banning started happening, you would understand why my community doesn't do that. Because of the fact of the matter is, I have my community that sees it all the time and it adds to their mental health issues. And I don't usually share this. Trigger warning for self-harm. I had a community member take their own life about last year when they were in their middle of their transition because their family rejected them. Okay, I have no idea if it was because of something that happened on my platform, but I know that that actually happened. And it has been one of the most difficult things that I've had to deal with. So when I talk about these issues, they're very real because I deal with this all the time. Like it's my life. Like I do research on this shit. Like I do research on the fact that people are more susceptible to ideation because of the fact that the society that they live in don't respect them. And more content creators over time are continuing to dogpile on us, and it's creating more of an issue. There's a reason why Destiny got banned, and Twitch is probably figuring out what it is. But I'm just saying right now that it is a real significant issue. This isn't me having Destiny derangement syndrome. The conversation is about Destiny getting banned in the context of all of the little chips that have stacked up the entire time for that tower to finally fall over, and now he's banned indefinitely. That's what this panel is about. That's what we're talking about, is that type of behavior and what he's done to these communities and what he does to the trans community all the time is the reason why this community is hurt, because of people like him.
Josie, listen to me real quick. Have you trashed Destiny for, let's see, how long have you been on here for? It's now 10 o'clock. So have you trashed Destiny for approximately about 2 hours? I mean, the answer is yes or no. Have you trashed Destiny for approximately about 2 hours?
I've done the behavior, yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, Destiny has thousands of viewers. Probably right now, I have no idea. I can go to his YouTube and probably check. He's probably live right now watching us. But he has
That's awesome.
thousands. He has thousands of viewers. Now, I don't know. You said you've banned dozens. That's less than 1% of the people that are watching him right now. And on top of that, I don't know how he's supposed to control his viewers. I can't tell you if one of my viewers is one of the people that came over there unless you tell me the people that you've banned, and I look through the people that were watching my stream and I say, oh shit, that was one of my viewers. Okay, well I'm gonna need to go back and I'm gonna need to actually look at this and I would ban the person that came over to you and decided to start trashing you. Because that's not something I accept in my community. I've told my community that I don't accept that, and I will ban them if one of my community members came over there and just started trashing you. But you've talked trash about Destiny. I wouldn't not expect Destiny,
trash about his actions.
which is Destiny. Okay, so
Yes, no,
I
sorry,
wouldn't
sorry,
I wouldn't expect less. I wouldn't expect less than one. I mean, I would expect less than 1% to come over to your viewers, to come over to your Twitch, since you've made it publicly known that you're trashing Destiny, and try and fight back against that. That's not something I wouldn't expect. I would have expected that walking into this debate if I was going to trash Destiny, that Destiny's viewers are going to sit here and try and come back against me just because I'm talking.
I start the conversation that way? I literally said that I know that I'm coming in and it's going to be a matter of time before people come in here and start talking shit, and it actually is happening currently.
EGG. Stop it. I know you're watching.
Like you've had to
Fucking stop.
ban.
I mean,
Like how
here's the
many
thing.
people have you had to ban specifically tonight?
I don't
Maybe
know
just give us
yet. I
some
haven't
context.
counted. I don't have my moderator for me.
I'm not asking as a gotcha, just to make it clear. I'm actually just trying to get context
I
of like,
don't
what
know.
you're
I guess I
talking
can
about.
ask maybe my moderator.
Yeah, what's the
to tell me
damage
what the
tonight?
count is.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Can I jump in? Like, I'm gonna switch sides again. Fuck it. Like, so yeah, like, okay, for the DGG guys, 10,000 viewing right now. Yeah, Josie's currently in a fucking 1v8. None of you fucking wallabers could do that.
No,
okay?
No,
Show
that's
some
not
respect.
true.
The other, I'm talking about DGG, not you guys in here. Okay, but so again with like counterpoints, you made a point earlier about edginess. Okay, so sure, like I don't have a problem with edginess, okay? Like, I guess you made a comment about my age earlier, but I'm 30 years old, you know, but yeah. I think the edginess isn't really the problem. I think Not So Airy that made a point earlier about like being like empathetic about like the specific vulnerabilities of like trans creators. I think that's maybe a point where you could say that there's a line between being edgy and something like the kind of like I mentioned earlier, the one-upmanship that Destiny sometimes engages with, like for example, like using someone's like suicide attempt in an argument. I think we can agree that like there's a point where edginess just becomes like unnecessary. I don't think it's good for him, to be honest. It makes him look like a dickhead. So and like to everyone. So, yeah.
I also want to
What do
say,
we think
like,
about that? Like,
Destiny's community has like roasted me for things that I've said because I've said some fucking stupid things, right? And sometimes it's just like you mean to say one thing and it comes out not the way that you're trying to say it, right? And like that sucks, right? It feels really bad to have people roasting you and like adding you and saying like that you're stupid. But I think that when you're online, like you can't count that all as transphobia because that's the nature of a lot of online discussion is you get roasted and people call you dumb when you say dumb things. And so I think it's sometimes frustrating when we conflate all of this with transphobia. And in a sense, I feel like it's a disservice to like the actual transphobia that people do experience to just
Counterpoints.
call it all transphobia.
Thank you. Sprout saw me confused. I was trying to figure out which one left. Of course, it was counterpoints. Okay, is there anybody else who want to say anything else before we wrapped up? Wonderful. Then we're going to do closing statements. Try to keep them
closing statement.
super short. So we're going to start with IRI.
I would
Okay,
like to
look.
go last.
Okay.
I know Josie's been beat up on tonight. I want to say that streaming for me is easy compared to Josie. I admit that the trans people on this platform have a rough time. It's not easy. It's like streaming on expert mode with one hand tied behind your back. And so I feel for you, Josie, and I would love to help clean this space up. But I think when we lose a big ally, and I know you don't see it that way, but I see Destiny as an ally. Nobody's perfect. I say dumb things, you know, I just not as many people see it. But I think that the road to achieving things involves getting imperfect people involved. And so I don't even know what kind of hate he gets that we don't even hear about. Yes, you can show a couple of examples that he pushed things too far, but maybe that day he got like 5 death threats. Maybe somebody told him for the 4,000th time that his son should, get hit by a car or something. I don't know what this guy deals with. I know I get some random DMs, I get some random hate, but it's 1% of what he gets. So is he going to lash out once in a while? We all do. But I think the net good of Destiny far outweighs the negative. And that I can't convince you of that. All I can do is share that. But I think getting a bunch of young people to drive halfway across the country and dedicate weekends of their lives and money and time to knock on doors in Georgia and help. I'm not saying that he got Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff the victory, but to help to arrange the largest canvassing operation on certain weekends there. I think that's huge. Some of these kids will stay involved in politics for the rest of their lives because of what Destiny did and what he continues to do. So I'm sorry, but I just see Destiny as such a net positive that I'm blown away that people are so angry at him because of some extra moderation they have to do for their channel. I'm sorry, but I think we all lose now that Destiny's gone. I think the whole space is going to hurt, and people don't even know it. They'll see, I guess, let's see where we're at in a year.
Okay, next we're gonna throw it to Loner.
Oh yeah, fuck, what was I saying? Yeah, Taft, I think you were mentioning me. I think you were referring to my comment when you mentioned the transphobia thing. It's not just about transphobia, okay? Like it's like about things like mental health and all that. Like so, like say Destiny will like acknowledge that some smaller person who he thinks is suffering from like mental health issues, and he'll do the thing where he says this person's mental health is not being helped by their engagement on this platform, and then he will go public and talk to his like much bigger audience about like specifically about their mental health. So like I feel like no one's really engaged with that question. I just like I know you can say the net good and everything. Okay, I agree, but I don't know why it's kind of difficult for people to like acknowledge there are like lots of places where a bit of like restraint would have been not only like better but also just like very easy. Like, does anyone not think that? Or
Nobody can respond. It's the anti-statement.
oh, okay.
Wonderful. Now I'm gonna throw it over to Not So Erudite.
Yeah, I would echo a bit of what IRI said. Again, sorry to steal my opening and closing from you now at this point, but I think it is beyond clear to me, based on what I've been seeing with the Don't Say Gay bill and just a lot of reactionary policy that we're seeing in America, that absolutely there is a lot of work to be done when it comes to trans advocacy and actually making space and just like basic human rights for trans people. I think that is unquestionable to me. The problem is that when we cannibalize our own, we actually lose some of the best people who are doing good work for it. Now, no advocate is perfect. I think even if we looked at any of our own personal histories, there's probably shit that you can come up. The issue for Destiny is he's an edgelord and has been doing it for 13 years, so you're going to find a lot more of it. This doesn't excuse all of the behaviors, but fundamentally what we need to do is figure out what our priorities are, what are the most important things to advocate for, and work really hard to make those spaces. I'm really disappointed with how the trans community, not the trans community at large, I would say like more like Josie's community and whatnot, have been characterizing Destiny. I think that there's a lot of bad faith. I wouldn't say bad faith, just like not super charitable interpretations, probably the worst possible interpretations of certain things and dismissive of good, which makes me sad. Because I think that we should do our best to hold the same ruler to every type of community content creator. And I don't often see certain content creators getting the same ruler held to them that we're willing to hold to somebody like Destiny. And yeah, I would just like to see that more.
Okay.
Connor's back.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's in the waiting room.
Yeah, we'll make him wait in the waiting room. I'm gonna throw it over to Taft.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I got excited. I got heated in this discussion. It's because for me, it's really important that we're able to have controversial discussions publicly. We don't know why Destiny got banned, but we do know that Destiny was not popular among like Twitch moderation. And it's because Destiny was continually willing to challenge progressive narratives on Kyle Rittenhouse or trans sports or whatever the narrative of the day was, if he felt like it wasn't true. And I think having someone willing to do that is really valuable. Destiny, he's an asshole a lot of times, and I think everyone should be able to acknowledge that. He's a hard person to engage with sometimes. Sometimes he DMs people Game of Thrones spoilers because he's angry about something. But at the end of the day, I think he's really important to have in the Twitch community. And I think it's undeniable that he's done a lot of good and he's built a political space where we do have trans creators. We have lefty creators. We have lots of people who disagree vehemently with Destiny. And I think the proof is in the pudding, right? When Destiny is on the platform, he encourages people to come up and challenge him. And that challenging of ideas is what I think is necessary for a healthy, functioning society. So that's all.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over now to Sprout.
I think I'm sticking to what I originally said. I think that I think everyone should have a place on Twitch. I think this has become the new town square. The internet has become the new town square, in which people get to share their opinions. And I think it is more effective to actually take down bad opinions when they're available in the public space. When you actually be able to replay their VODs, or when you're actually able to talk to them face to face or camera to camera, it's more effective to actually take down the positions that way than it is to let them go to some other website and people get radicalized by just staying in that website and following that creator when there's no one to actually say, hey, this is wrong. I think that the best way forward is for Twitch to stop banning people, and I think the best way forward is for Twitch to say, hey, everybody's welcome to share their own ideas. These aren't the ideas that Twitch these aren't the ideas that Twitch supports, but we do believe in free speech here, and we do believe that everyone is able to share their ideas and let their ideas be known to the public. So with that being what it is, I think that Twitch should relax on the bans and let free speech take its course.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it now over to Turk.
Yeah, I kind of echo what Sprout said because, if we're going to have these conversations, we have to be able to do so in a manner that we don't have to constantly walk on eggshells. As we're going into these next conversations, there's going to be a lot of eggshell walking because it's a very sensitive topic. It's a very TOS heavy sensitive topic. And the fact that we have to do that is not a good thing. We should be able to converse with people on both sides of opinions and be able to come to agreement, conclusion on these topics. And that's just a really sad state of affairs. And just because I don't support that Destiny was banned does not mean I agree with the man. The dude is not, conservative. He has some really bad takes that I do not agree with, but I still want to hear his opinions. I still want to engage with people like that because if we can't have the conversations, we're not going to be able to change or come to a better conclusion. I've been on Hippy Dippy several times. I have changed several of my stances to be less conservative and more, moderate to progressive. And that's why we need to have people on platforms, regardless of some of the bad things that they've said that is potentially TOS. We need to have these conversations, and if Twitch is not going to allow that, I really hope other platforms are available to allow that.
Okay, now I'm going to throw it over to Josie.
Did Connor get to say his words?
Connor, yeah, you left, didn't you, Connor?
All
right, cool. So
Hey, everybody.
my position is that we're all attracted to blood sports. I think that the power vacuum left by the DGT community on Twitch will be filled, and it's not necessarily going to be better with him gone. Whether it's Destiny or somebody else, that power vacuum will be filled. I am and was thankful that Destiny was willing to share his platform with smaller creators through debate and engagement. I think that's one of the positives that he did in order to give smaller creators a moderate boost to their metrics. But I will concede that he's done a lot of toxic shit that basically has made a lot of people feel shitty. I don't agree with his same moral philosophy. I wish that he would take kind of more of a Christian perspective of turning the other cheek, but I also understand that that's not always possible. And I do agree with IRI that it's a little bit fucked up that Destiny possibly gets banned for talking to Nick Fuentes for 4 minutes for maybe tweeting a sarcastic N-word tweet and engaging with trans discourse irresponsibly. But then we have like fucking Hassan Piker over here basically doing Russian apologia. Like what is fucked up and like okay, so is something that's fucked up and evil but palatable better than, fucking something that's abrasive and aggressive but not as nefarious? It's a weird fucking standard to have, and I don't like it. And until I get banned, I'll try to fill the slot of calling out bad dog shit ideas. But that doesn't mean that bad dog shit ideas aren't going to exist without somebody calling them out aggressively. So the final thing, though, is DGG DDoSed me. They attacked my modem. That's why I went down. So I side with Josie, and fuck DGG. They can eat my whole butthole. So yep.
Okay. Josie, your ending statement.
Okay. So I know it got heated. I appreciate the conversation and to allow me to say my piece. I am not the only person on this platform that has grievances with DDG. I just want to make that clear. I am one of many. I just had the honor to be able to speak for and with that community the best I could. And I know that I wasn't perfect. I know that I didn't have all of the arguments lined up because it was only me and I tried my best. So I just want everybody to know that this is not a accurate reflection of what the internet of Twitch looks like, or the statement of Twitch. There's a lot of people who do not like the actions that Destiny has done. I do want to address a few other little pieces, which is IRI. I just want to just push back on one thing you specifically said, is that extra moderation, big deal. Well, when you're a small content creator and you only have like 10 viewers and you don't have the ability to have several moderators like I do, where I have like 3 or 4 moderators doing their thing right now, then it's nearly impossible to overcome hate raids. And I've seen people shut down their streams because they just could not take and stop what was happening. In fact, Twitch has even put a massive stance on hate raids, particularly for that reason, because it doesn't affect streamers like myself as much. And I'm a relatively small streamer, I'm not huge. When I get a stream, like, I have the ability to bat it off, but a lot of small streamers don't get that opportunity. So that's one reason why extra moderation not being a big deal is just woefully misguided. Um, Now I wanna say that there was a lot of comments talking about this being a discussion of like, oh, this is freedom of speech. This is the conversation that we are trying to have. And this type of thing is, it's like we are talking about things that were directly targeted toward individuals that are directly harmed with their own platforms being deplatformed, having Twitch accounts go private, having Twitch accounts be banned. This is something that is more than just a shitty take. There is a lot of things, and there's a lot of evidence to show this, and a lot of that evidence gets destroyed because people delete their accounts and just get off the internet and try to stay away from it altogether. And Taft, I just have to say, and I'm not trying to make a personal attack here, but out of all the things that Destiny has done, you picked out a Game of Thrones spoiler. Like there is so many things that Destiny has done, and everybody on this panel has even said Destiny's done some pretty fucked up shit. But you choose a Game of Thrones spoiler
To be
as,
fair, he was
oh, he gets
DMing it to
angry.
people.
But the thing is, like, it just shows the level of inability to be able to see this from the point of view wholly, because a lot of these people on this panel did raise their hand when they say, oh, I'm directly affected by by Destiny in a positive way. Therefore, it's like the idea, and I'm just going to say it, there was a lot of simping on this panel where it's like, oh, but it's Destiny though, he made my career great though, instead of actually engaging the conversations of the fact of real material harm of people on this platform, including the people that have, particularly the people who are been deplatformed because they can't take any more of the rage that comes their way continuously. So this will be the final thing I say on this point. I know I'm outnumbered, but Twitch gets the final word. Twitch banned Destiny indefinitely. So where the real W is was with me. And at the end of the day, Everybody can cry and get upset and mad about Destiny being banned, but the ultimate result is that he is no longer on this panel, and I have Twitch to support me on that, and all the other community that has been affected by his actions. So the big W goes to me and our community because Twitch said, Destiny, you're no longer a part of this platform. So I see a lot of people taking a lot of L's because the fact is Twitch got the final word and he's gone, and we'll find out why.
Okay, that is the end of the first topic of tonight. We're now going to go into the next topic. This is also the time where Destiny can stop watching because we're going to get into real politics now. And the next topic is: should Supreme Court nominee KBJ be appointed to the Supreme Court after Joe Manchin came out with his endorsement of their nomination? It's almost assured at this point. But do you think it should be? Do you think this person should be appointed to the Supreme Court? Also, the last time you can address anything said in the last topic is during the intro of this topic, and then you can't ever mention it again going forward. Just throwing that out there. We're going to start with counterpoints.
Yeah, sure. So I think the primary contention from a conservative perspective or whatever was that, Biden came out and said, oh, well, we're going to look for a woman of color to get to the Supreme Court. Ha! And that was like the big pitch point. I have no doubts that this woman is probably talented. I have no doubts that there are probably women of color who are talented to sit on the bench. The question is whether or not we want to racialize things going forward. And I'm perfectly okay with racializing, but that means that in 2050, when white people become a minority, I want to have exact representation in media and politics. And if we don't have an exact demographic breakdown along race and gender, if there are not 33% straight men in media and politics, then I will fucking riot. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All
Well, I think that Ketanji Brown
Actually,
Jackson is
I'm going to make a strategic choice. Sprout, you go first. You go next, actually.
okay.
All right, so Josie, don't worry. This won't be a 7v1 against you. This will be a 7v1 against me. And fortunately, I prepared for it. I personally think this judge should not be appointed to the Supreme Court. I think she's practically willing to normalize pedophilia. And you can see this clearly through her her sentencing of certain decided cases by a jury or by plea. And we'll go over this all later. I'm sure we will. People are going to be asking me questions about it. But yes, I don't think she should go to the Supreme Court because of her almost willingness to normalize pedophilia, which isn't something I'm for. I'm completely against pedophilia, and I don't think that is something we should have on the Supreme Court. But I'm sure all of you will have some kind of something to say about that. So I'll let the rest of you make your opening statements.
Okay, here's the question, though. Would you appoint Mr. Girl to the Supreme Court?
No.
Why not?
Because I've heard Mr. Girl speak, and I just don't think that's what I want in the Supreme Court either.
Got it. Okay, we're going to throw it over to Ira now.
Okay. Ketanji Brown Jackson is highly qualified. In fact, she's one of the most qualified people to ever be nominated. She just happens to be a black woman, which is bonus because representation matters. And this charge that she's normalizing pedophilia, which is beyond what any GOP member has said or anybody on Fox News. So Sprouticus is taking it to his own crazy level. Is a ridiculous charge. This is in reference to her lighter sentences on people who possess child pornography. That is in line with what most federal judges do, including judges that were confirmed under the Trump administration by the 4 senators who brought it up, Lindsey Graham, Josh Hawley, etc. They all confirmed judges that have the same sentencing records as Ketanji Brown Jackson. They also accused her of being a terrorist sympathizer, which is ridiculous because she supposedly called George W. Bush a war criminal and was a public defender for someone at Gitmo, which I think is the most American thing you can do. Because if we let terrorists take away that everybody should have a defender and not let the most reprehensible people have defenders and a proper legal counsel, then the terrorists win. So I think it's very patriotic. I think it's absolutely disgusting the way she was treated in this over the course of 3 days when she was questioned. And God bless Cory Booker for righting the ship and showing people what this is really about. So, Sprouticus, I'm going to look for some serious receipts about how you think she is so despicable with this stuff compared to those right-wing judges that were confirmed under Trump.
Okay, I'm going to throw it now over to Josie.
Hey, that's a nice palate cleanser. So, I'm sorry, I was trying to get. So, could you give me the brief synopsis on the question one more time? Because I think I know what you asked, but I want to be right.
The question is, should Biden's nominee be confirmed to the Supreme Court?
Oh, okay. Yes, Biden's nominee should be completely and utterly confirmed to the Supreme Court. I'm very excited about her in particular. I think that we'll see through this entire process is this really well qualified woman go through this process and hopefully get confirmed right through. I will say, even though her professional career, from working currently in the U.S. State of Appeals in the District of Columbia, all the way from working for different law clerks as well. She's basically worked in every single way that a judge or could actually work in the process. She also went to a public university and an Ivy League to get her law degree, and she's just a part of just a host of different associations. This is probably one of the most qualified humans that we've ever had in our lifetime to have the ability to appoint. And I love people like Sotomayor, don't get me wrong. But when we talk about these things, this is really, really important. And if you were to use, like IRI said, the litmus test of like Amy Coney Barrett, who has just none of these experiences, as well as Kavanaugh, and the just lack of decorum and the ability to hold himself together during these hearings, asking, just absolutely just falling apart. And you see this well qualified woman stand there and take these questions, no matter how absurd they may be, like asking the questions about what is a woman. I see somebody that I would be proud to say, yeah, like Ketanji Brown, she's a Supreme Court justice, and we need a win right now, because she really does bring that level of what I expect as a United States citizen of what a Supreme Court justice looks like, as far as experience and just the ability to hold herself. And so, absolutely, yes, she should be on the Supreme Court. And I can't wait to say that she's a Supreme Court justice.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Loner Box.
Yeah, I'm not American. I don't have as much skin in the game, but from a outsider's perspective, I really like the fact that she has basically, I guess, due to her very high levels of qualification and the fact that these people have really fuck all on her, it's produced this content where, like, you've got Ted Cruz grilling her on whether or not a white man can identify as an Asian, and Sprouticus saying that because she sentences below the guidelines makes her a pedophile enabler, which would also make, like, I don't know, 2/3 of federal judges pedophile enablers. Shit. Yeah, she's really good content farmer. Definitely should take notes. Cool.
Okay, gotta throw it over to Not So Erudite.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, so I also have a little bit less skin in the game over here. But overall, it seems like she's super solidly qualified. I watched kind of the senator questionings of her, just a couple of like 20 to 30-minute clips today. Wasn't super impressed with the line of questioning. I felt that was inappropriate. But, if somebody could provide me evidence that that's a standard way that we question all judges, fair enough, if that's how it's done. I didn't feel comfortable with a lot of the Ted Cruz questionings and putting up videos of like the racist baby book and being like, well, do you support this? And it's like, well, this book has almost literally nothing to do with the judiciary process, but whatever. I think it's just like evidence of like some obvious systemic stuff that's still going on in society. If she's qualified, then yeah, she should go in, no question. And I think actually her identity matters to some extent, right? A Black woman is going to have a unique perspective in the judiciary process that I don't think other people can bring as easily. And I think that that's a valuable thing. It shouldn't be the only thing that matters, but she seems also exceedingly qualified. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Gonna throw it over to Taft.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo some of the things that have already
We can't hear you.
Oh, really?
You
How
can't hear
about
me?
now?
Oh, there we go.
I was pressing the wrong button. Yeah, I'll echo some of the things that have been said previously here. I think that on paper she's pretty qualified. I think that the child porn stuff is like pretty weak. I don't think there's like a good case to indicate that she's like pro child porn or anything. In regards to like not having an immediate definition for woman, I think is also kind of weak. Like, frankly, it's somewhat difficult to give a progressive definition of woman. She's a progressive judge. She's going to, weigh in that way on issues. I think the only like unfortunate thing is that our Supreme Court is like set up this way in the first place, that it's this highly politicized, highly charged position, that you have these people, these 9 people who are unelected, and that they can legislate from the bench. So I think there's like discussion there, but like as far as like this is the process that we have and she is the one who's chosen, I think she seems like fairly qualified.
Okay, we're gonna throw it over to Sprout.
I already
mean
did my
me?
opening statement.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, Turk.
Yeah, so I'm really glad we're on this topic now because I got to hear IRI and now Josie Rose with the super amount of cope going on with this Supreme Court nomination. We're back on track with the standard panel going on. I can't disagree that she's not probably qualified for this. I think she's got the creds to go for it. I can't knock her on that. I kind of agree with Taft where the child product thing. Sorry, I've got kids in the vicinity. I think that's a pretty weak argument. We can try and push emotional strings all we want on that, but I don't think it's going to be effective to sway 50 plus 1 votes to not confirm her. But I think the bigger thing here from a jurisprudence thing is that she lacks the ability to define a simple term in common usage that's broadly used in our current law, and that is the definition of woman. There's several different cases in civil court law where the definition of woman is being used and referenced. If she's not able to define that, she could define it however, as a conservative, I can use the biological definition. I can also use the gender definition. By not being able to provide that answer in both contexts, I think she kind of invalidates her ability to actually justly validate cases and arguments and stuff that are going for her. And there's going to be plenty of these types of cases that go against genders and sexes that are coming to the Supreme Court in due time. So I think that's an immediate disqualification, and we can keep that topic train going, or we can go some of these other routes. So.
Okay, so that's everybody for the opening topic. Does anyone want to start us off?
I will start us off.
Yeah, I just
that
want to
way
jump in.
I will start us off that way we don't jump on my neck.
I'll
Please.
let Sprout start.
I
I feel
forgot.
like he might be.
Can I mention something really quick though?
5 seconds.
Yeah. So IRI, I'm super glad you brought up Cory Booker. His responses were totally cringe, dude.
It was based. Sprout.
So my position, oddly enough, as Leonard Bach suggested, is not about the sentencing guideline. It is about the suggestion of the prosecution, the suggestion of the probation officers. The 2 of the times she has gone severely underneath what the probation officer or prosecution suggested. 3 of the times, or 4, almost 4 of the times, she's decided to go with the lowest suggestion, and 1 of the times she decided to go smack down the middle. And then if we bring up other sex cases, we can show that one of the time, or the one specific time that matters, And this is about a sexual abuse case, not a child porn case, which makes it a little bit different. But she also went underneath the prosecution and the probation officer suggestions. So several times, and this is over many years, but several times she has decided to go underneath both suggestions that were given to her through the court process. As far as I'm tracking, there are four cases that I don't have access to, that I don't have information on. So I'm gonna go off this. I'm gonna go off the 7 that I do, along with the one that isn't a child pornography case, and it's actually a sex abuse case. But that is where I stand.
So,
Well,
do you? So, okay. So you're fine with the fact that she's she's in the majority with going below the guidelines for federal judges. Okay, fine. Do you know like what percentage of judges go below the recommendations?
It's
of
nothing about the
probation
guidelines. I don't give a fuck about the guidelines.
No, the
guidelines-
recommendations.
So
the
give me a second.
recommendations.
The guidelines are way off.
Okay. So the
She's actually 2 years underneath the average. Her average is 2 years underneath the average judge that sentences child pornography. She's 2 years underneath
No, that's not what
the
I
average
asked.
judge.
I'm asking, do you know what percentage of judges in America do that?
I don't know what percentage of judges, but I can tell you she's underneath the average.
Okay, so the
Let-
fact
let
that
me
you
a-
don't know that, like, what's the point in having this conversation if you don't know what other
I don't know.
judges are
So
doing and
you
doing
gotta
it
tell
that
me.
way?
Are you gonna tell me what percentage of judges do that?
I don't
Or
know.
are you just
I'm not
talking
making the
out your
claim.
ass? Are you just talking out your ass?
I'm not making the
Whoa.
claim.
Oh, so you're talking out your ass. Okay.
Let-
IRI, go
let me
ahead.
ask you- Let me ask you, do you think it makes a difference to put someone in prison for 4 years or 6 years?
Yes, I do.
Really? You have
Yes.
some
Oh,
sort of proof
yeah.
that makes it really after the 5th year you finally get it, right? That's when it finally clicks in your head. Oh man,
No.
finally I'm remorseful.
I think
Really,
I think there's a different amount of time, and how heinous the crime you commit is should depend on how much time you spend in prison, and then also how much time you spend on probation. So I definitely
Well-
think that how heinous the crime should depend on how much time you spend in prison. And 2 years is definitely a major difference between two different sentences.
So in
are
that
you
case,
mad
like,
about-
I want to know then because like I've in the UK, the minimum is far lower than it is in the US for these same crimes. Do you think I live in a country that's normalizing pedophilia,
Yes.
even though pedophilia is less of a problem here than it is in America?
Yes. You know,
Okay,
you
sure.
can't. So,
Why?
so,
Because the
so,
sentences are
so,
less, right?
are you gonna give me a second or not? Are you gonna give me a second to respond, or are you just gonna try and talk over me?
Listen, when you
Because
can't
we can
debate
play
the
this game
content,
if you want
debate the
to.
process.
So
That's
what
what's
I am
happening
so
right now,
so what I am
folks.
so what I am gonna no, I was actually gonna debate the content, but we still have people that want to talk over me. So
Yeah,
the
sure.
UK actually overly sexualizes just about everything over the United States. The UK is a much more sexualized country. The UK is used to more sexualization of many different topics than the United States is. You see nudity everywhere in the UK, where it's
I've seen
not
Austin
near
Powers.
as prevalent as the United States.
But we're
But
a
is it
safer country for children.
sexualized nudity?
Children are safer from abuse in the UK than they are in America.
According to according to that, you could go into but according to that, yes. But you can go into sexual abuse. I do not think that child pornography is a contributor to sexual abuse in that case. I've debated this on Twitter plenty of times. People bring up the idea of child marriages, which people consider sexual abuse. I'm 100% down for making child marriages illegal. But in no way does child marriages contribute to child pornography.
So apparently we expose kids to more sexual content, but kids are safer. How are we normalizing pedophilia?
I'm saying that everything is more sexualized in the UK. So what I'm saying is that more kids are going to see more sexualized content, which is going to put the kids at a higher risk of mental. I can't think of the word, but mental distress.
So if they were at higher risk, pedophilia would be more of a problem here, right?
No, not necessarily, because we're talking about adults.
So another angle to look at this is that by having material more accessible and less punished in that particular area, that particular behavior is not as frowned upon. it's more acceptable from society to do that kind of behavior. I'm not defending Sprout's point, but by having greater access and less strict sentences for that type of access, you kind of start to see that that's not as big of an issue when it comes to those types of communities.
Okay, well, it's not more acceptable. Okay, they still get sentenced. They still get put on a sex offenders register. They still get their browsing, their computer usage monitored for an extremely long time. Are you suggesting that, like, as soon as you take, like, say, like a level of sentencing, and as soon as you go below it, you start normalizing? Could I not just say then someone in Indonesia could come up to you and say, well, you don't castrate pedophiles, so you're the ones normalizing compared to us?
They could take it. They could totally take that perspective on it, and if
But
that's
they'd be
their
wrong,
opinion,
right?
they could.
No.
You'd have to debate them on that one, man.
So are you normalizing pedophilia compared to Indonesia, Spartacus, in America?
Yes. America is normalizing pedophilia compared to Indonesia. Yes.
So you should just castrate, like, is that what you're advocating for?
Can I just, when we're saying normalizing,
I'm not advocating for that position, but what I'm saying is the more lenient your punishment is for a certain crime, the more you're normalizing it, the more you're saying it's okay to do because the punishment is more lenient than the punishment is over there. I think that the punishment that Judge Jackson, which is what we're talking about right now, not specifically different countries. So I'd love to go back to Judge Jackson. Her sentences have been much more lenient. As a matter of fact, 2 years underneath the average judge. So 2 years underneath the average judge, more lenient on child pornography and child abuse cases. This has been put through as so underneath the fact check that someone decided to send me on Twitter, which is the only thing I'm using. Since people want to fact check me, the only thing I'm using is, in fact, Jackson's average was 3 years and 9 months below the minimum sentencing guidelines, which I don't really care about the minimum sentencing guidelines. But what I do care about is they compared Jackson's average sentence in those 7 cases to government prosecutors who on average sought a minimum of 71 months. That means Jackson's average was 2 years below the minimum. And so that is what I'm going to go with, that she's 2 years below the minimum, and her average sentence and those recommended by the probation office, 52 months. So,
and that should be enough to disqualify her from the court, in your opinion?
Yes.
Then we have no judges, because then that's 2/3 of our judges. Genius.
Okay, I mean, if a judge is going to be lenient on children being abused and children being stop, and children being sexualized for the gratification of people who are pedophiles, then yes, I think that if a judge is going to be lenient on someone who is sexualizing a kid for the gratification of other pedophiles out there, then yes, I think that the judge doesn't belong in the Supreme Court.
Don't you think the goal is to rehabilitate people and get them back into society, right? You would agree that's the goal, right? That's why we send them to prison for 8 years, so they learn their lesson and they don't do it again, right?
It depends on how it depends on how heinous it depends. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. It depends on how heinous the crime is. Some crimes are so heinous that the people who commit the crimes are considered non-rehabilitational, and we're not really sure where that line is on what exactly is non-rehabilitational, what is rehabilitational. I would love to have more research done on what is rehabilitational, what's not rehabilitational. But from looking at just the stats here, it seems that she is far below the average of what judges consider rehabilitational, what's not rehabilitational. Well, the thing is, you're not countering that. You're not countering that point. You're trying to sidestep it and say something else. Go ahead.
So the most egregious case that the Republicans brought up was the sentence of only 3 months that she gave a guy. Remember that, Sprout? I'm sure.
Yes, the probation officer, which she so said that they're the fact finders of the court, and they're what she depends upon so much is the probation officer. The probation officer in that case gave a suggestion of 18 months, a year and a half. That is 15 months over what Judge Jackson sentenced the man to.
And you know what happened? That kid got out, and he hasn't done the crime again since. You know that? He's a contributing member of society now. Isn't that weird? He is out there. If they would have sent him away, he was 18 years old when he was busted with those images. Basically looking at photos of his peers. And you know what? He changed. And he said, I was on the wrong path. And that's what we want, isn't it, Sprout? We want these people to be functioning members of society, right? Otherwise, why don't we put them away for life?
Do you know the date of this case or not?
It might.
Wesley
Is it helpful
Hawkins.
to add in here? I mean, what's important when we're talking about like sex offenders, particularly, is we're concerned with recidivism, right? When they're in jail and everything, and probation and all of that. The whole goal of this is to decrease the likelihood that they're going to reoffend. The issue is that deterrence and these things that you're talking about don't seem to have significant predictors of reducing recidivism. In fact, the things that we know that predict whether they're going to recidivate or not are things like lots of histories of reoffense. It's kind of like the standard things that make even treatment itself kind of tricky. If they have phallometric interest in children, that makes them more likely to offend. If they fail to complete treatment, that's probably the main one that we can actually influence here, is ensuring that people who have sexual assault histories are completing their treatment. So like I feel like in all this conversation where we're talking about like, are her decisions right or wrong? Like part of what this has to be grounded in is the literature of recidivism itself. Because fundamentally, I think everyone's goal here is to see kids getting sexually assaulted less. I think that's everyone's goal, hopefully.
I mean, that's
And
my
the
goal.
the case was 2013, so it's been a while. He's had a minute if he wanted to
Okay,
relapse.
he had 6 years. He had 6 years of government watching his search history, 3 months in jail, which was time served, and $100 fine. So he basically got a traffic ticket and 6 years of the government watching his history. Since then, it's been 3 years past him getting off probation. In that 3 years, they haven't been able. The government has not found him or charged him with possession of child pornography. Since then, 3 years is a pretty short amount of time considering if you watch repeat offenders. Typically it's past 3 years when they repeat offend.
Where are you pulling that out of? Where are you
Okay,
pulling that
you want
stat
okay?
out of?
I'll show you the research. Don't worry about it. I'll show you the research. Don't worry about
I'll
it.
wait for it. I'll get it. You
Okay,
don't have to show it to me
so
now.
I have
You
a-
can
I have
show
a
it to me
question.
later.
I have a question, Sprout. So you're talking about this one particular case.
No, I'm talking about
And
several different cases. I'm talking about 7
okay.
cases.
So if this is egregious, would you also be against like Thomas, Kavanaugh, and Barrett because they have we had no experience about anything that they've done with these type of situations, and also Kavanaugh was accused of sexual assault at 17. And then you also have the fact that Thomas was also in a contracted battle of sexual assault as well. Were you against all of those people too? Were
So
you
I don't
against
know about
Kavanaugh?
Accused is different than
I don't know about
prosecuted and actually
Thomas.
in
I don't know
jail.
about Thomas, but Kavanaugh was accused. Kavanaugh was never sentenced to anything. Kavanaugh.
do you
So wait. We don't give a we don't have. I mean, unless you want to give Kavanaugh's decisions as a judge as evidence behind anything. Past that, Kavanaugh was asked if he liked beer during his confirmation hearings. I don't recall anything going as low as "Do you like beer?" in Judge Jackson's confirmation hearings. They definitely did. So give me 1 second. They definitely did go that low with Kavanaugh. He was asked that because they found evidence of him underage drinking, which most people do. Underage drinking is not a uncommon
drunk
thing.
And maybe not remembering assaulting someone.
I know what you're doing. You do that rhetorical talk. So I
You
just
cut
wanna
out.
ask you this
I
question.
lost about
Sorry.
half of what you said.
Okay, sorry. You're doing that rhetorical flourish where you just like talk. But what I'm trying to ask you real quick is as well is this the only thing you have wrong with Ketanji Brown?
No,
Is
I
this
also
the only thing.
So no, I also agree with the Turk. I think that not being able to define what a woman is in front of the court was quite I don't know if I want to say
But don't you think
disingenuous,
that's-
Yeah,
but
let's
it
talk
was
about
quite
the woman thing,
what?
right? Because
Don't
like
you think that that's also a ridiculous question? Like, do you like beer?
It's so
No,
ridiculous.
I think it's such a
answered the beer.
ridiculous question that she should have answered it. Kavanaugh did answer the question if he liked beer.
So if
You
it's
can
so
actually so stop. Wait a
ridiculous,
second.
then
Wait a second.
why
Wait a
answer
second.
it?
Wait a second. So you can actually go and look up on a YouTube channel, Kavanaugh, like a repeating part of him where he's like, "I like beer," going over his confirmation hearings about how many times he was asked
I get what
if
you're
he
saying.
liked beer or not. So
I know,
I think she should have answered the question to define what a woman is. Considering a woman is a very important part of case law. It's repeated very much in laws. So with the inability to define what a woman is, you are in no way capable
Then
of
what
being
is
a
your
Supreme Court
definition of woman,
justice.
Sprout, if it's so easy?
My definition of woman is someone who is born female.
So you don't believe I'm a woman anymore?
No, I think you were a transgender woman, but the definition
I'm a
of
type
woman
of
is what I
woman.
understand.
I'm a type of woman,
So the
right?
definition of woman, from what I believe, is someone underneath the eyes of the law. Like I call you she. I do all that. I think that your mindset is more feminine than what a man's
So
would
I'm
be,
not a
which is
type of
why you're
woman?
no. Okay, so you're
Nice
trying
knowing you, Dylan.
so you're trying to corner me right now. I would like
No,
you to
I'm not.
I'd like you to
I'm
let me
not a type
finish.
of woman.
Beyond
I'm
cozy.
I would
not a
like
type
I
of
would
woman.
I would like you to let me finish. Thank you. Your mindset is more feminine than what a man's would be, and it's been contributed to almost equally feminine as what a woman's would be in studies. It's been contributed to that. But what I would define as a woman underneath the eyes of the law is someone who has been identified as a woman at birth.
The legal
Which I think
definition
happens
of
in court
woman
cases.
is like adult human female.
So
It's a
I'm a
biological
woman?
definition,
I
right?
Because
But like
not a
I believe you are a
He's a
trans woman.
conservative.
I do not believe you're a biological woman. No.
the
Okay,
legal
but that's-
definition of woman is a biological woman. It's an adult
Thank
human
you.
female,
Yeah,
right?
That is not. So I'm a trans adult human female.
No, I'm talking about like the legal
It's an
definition, right?
Trans
So
is an adjective.
listen to me,
okay.
Josie. Currently,
In what
it's working
country?
its way through the courts whether or not trans women are going to be considered women. Like there's going to be rulings on this, right?
Trans women are considered women in the law.
The
But
reason
it's not by sex.
What
it's by-
country?
I
Oh my
can
God.
explain it in a second.
the
We have
reason
laws
no, they're
that
not
protect
like
trans
okay.
women as gender
The-
categories.
there's, like-
states already say
There's
that. So
states
legally,
that
trans
have
women
these things,
are women.
but like it's working through the courts whether or not they're going to be considered
I know,
women
but the
at the
states
Supreme
already
Court level.
recognize
Listen
women
to
as
me.
trans women
This
as
is the
women.
reason why she was unable to answer this because
You're a
like
woman,
she's
Kath, and
going
this is
to
normal.
she's going to rule a certain way on this, which is in favor of the progressive viewpoint, and she doesn't want to reveal that like in the
So
court.
are you not a woman either?
This doesn't have anything to do with the point. That,
Yeah,
that-
it has
as a matter of fact,
nothing to do
Are
with
you
it.
listening to
Tosh
me at
said that-
all?
I can
No,
explain
Top-
Oh my
Top
God.
just
definition.
said.
Okay,
You're
stop.
Toff
Stop.
just
Stop.
said-
Wait. Okay, stop. I want Toph to be able to respond. There's too many people talking at once. I can't hear anything.
Okay, I'm telling you that like the court is going to rule, the Supreme Court, on whether or not trans women are considered women.
So they're not. In what case?
There's already a case. It was 2020. I don't have the name because I'm benchmarking
No.
Doom Eternal.
That was
Well, okay,
that was a case. That was a case about.
Not going to deem what
So,
is a woman.
Yes.
That was a case about Title VII.
Yes, there is a
Title
case
VII
of whether or
follows
not
place.
like trans people can be considered as like being discriminated based on like their sex. The ruling was basically that like the expectation that someone acts a certain way is based on a certain kind of sex discrimination, right? But it didn't explicitly rule on whether or not trans people are considered like the sex that they identify as or the gender that they
Exactly.
identify as. So the reason why she doesn't want to like outright say, you know, trans women are women or the inverse is because she just doesn't want to reveal that like specific position, right? So I think it's tactical on her point. Like we all know
does
how
that
she's going to rule
disqualify
here.
her?
She's going to rule in like the progressive
Yes.
fashion.
So that disqualifies her.
Yes.
I'm not saying that disqualifies her.
Well,
I'm
you
just
are
saying that's
basically
why.
you're giving the reason why the Turk is disqualifying her.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
the
why Turk is disqualifying
But the
her.
thing about it is states already legally recognize that trans women are women and are part of the protected class and
Okay,
category.
but not
and
the
gender.
Supreme Court.
But those courts are part of the United States government, which is the judicial branch, which has already been deemed
They're not the
that
Supreme
trans
Court.
women on those. Do you not understand how the judicial branch works?
I don't think you
that's
understand how the
I
judicial
don't
branch
understand-
works.
understand
because you're not
federalism in some
talking
respects.
about I'm talking about the judicial branch of the United States in states, which by the way, like the federal appellate courts and all of those type of things, like they are a part of this, and no one has challenged these other states to say, hey, by the way, like these aren't women, and there's so many judges right now that already agree with all of these other states' rulings who are a part of the federal system by being a part of the judicial system as a whole. There's 3 branches in the United States. The branch of the Supreme Court is not an entirety of its branch on its own. There has already been plenty of justification to show that trans women are women and are protected in those states for those reasons as a gender protected category, because that's how these laws work. It's
So
based on
Josie, what do you think I'm
interpretation.
trying to say? What do you think
I
my
think you're
position
trying
is
to tell
here?
me right now that there is no legal standing for a trans woman to be a woman.
I'm
That's what I
saying
think
that
you're
the
trying to say.
Supreme Court has
I'm not
not
trying to
ruled
say
on
about the
this.
Supreme Court. I'm
Okay.
talking about just the courts in general
That's
and
what
how the
I'm
legal.
saying.
But you
I'm
said
saying the
legal.
Supreme
You said
Court has
legally.
not ruled on this. There isn't a
Exactly. Who cares?
the federal understanding of what a woman is that it's an adult human female.
That
Okay.
is not true. That is not
Yes,
defined
that
in
is
that
true.
way.
Rosie, the conservatives care. They answered your question. That's
Yeah.
exactly what's
clarify
going on.
that?
They care because if they don't define it in a conservative sense, then they would
I
want to
guess-
push
I
back on
guess
that
my whole
candidate.
situation is like that is enough to qualify the most qualified human that has ever in our lifetime that has went to apply or to been nominated as a Supreme Court justice in the United States, and now we're having semantic conversations about how the law defines who a woman is.
Yeah, just
They're
Google like
lawyers.
legal
Wait a
definition
second.
for woman.
Wait a
Stop,
second.
stop, stop,
The
stop,
entire
stop,
Supreme
stop.
Court.
Wait. Okay. Sorry. There's like, can we all bring this back on the rails for a second? Okay.
Can I bring it back to the rails for you, Dylan?
I do.
want
Oh
to
no, you've talked a lot.
legal
I want to
clarity.
go. I got the list, and Turk, you're actually after Turk, but Turk is first, so I got to throw it to Turk.
Okay, so Josie is partially correct. There is now precedent due to the Bostock case that says that trans people and people that with sexual identities cannot be discriminated under Title VII due to that condition. But that does not mean that they're saying
Yeah,
that
you're a
women
woman, it's okay.
are no, that's not
Yeah,
what it's saying.
that's not what it
If you-
says.
If you go and read the actual decision, which and actually was like I think a 6-1 case. It was not heavily contended against on the minority side. But what they did was they said that if a man dressed as a woman and got fired from their position, that is discrimination because a woman who dresses as a woman would not get fired from the position.
Yes.
It's not that they're transgendered or their sexual orientation is the problem. The problem is that they're being discriminated by to their biological sex, and they're acting in a behavior that is not traditional with that.
Yes,
That is
yes.
that is the current precedent, and that is why defining female or woman is a very important thing. Like I said in my intro, this nominee could have said biological female, but she could also have said, but there's many people that also say that trans individuals are women in sociology circles. You could provide both of those definitions and not be under fire right now. As a legal professional and a person that's going to the Supreme Court, you should be able to push this kind of information out.
But she does know. She could define it, right? I think maybe like what I would say is that like I think she was just caught off guard by the question. Like if you ask most people like what is a woman, I think they'll be like immediately caught off guard because the answer is like in some sense like so obvious but also like so difficult to define in like a succinct way, right? So I think there's that. The other thing that I think is happening here is just that like when you are in this hearing, right, and we see this with all the Supreme Court picks, they tend to do this thing where they're like, I can't currently answer because it's being worked through the Supreme Court. I mean, that's what she said, by the way, Josie. Like, that was her reasoning for not giving like a full definition. So this is her interpretation, at least, is that it's currently being worked through the courts, and that's
have an
why.
interpretation. She defers to a biological
Yeah,
expert.
she said I'm not. She said I'm not a biologist.
It's not even a common explanation. You go and look at some of the
those
articles
Twitter memes
coming
make
out.
sense now.
It's
Well, I mean,
it
she
is not
literally
a
said I'm not a biologist.
Yeah,
She
I
literally
mean, I
said
think
that in
we'll
front of the
know
Senate.
like how she's going to rule, right? Like she's probably going to rule in the progressive sense. Does anyone like disagree with that? Do they think that like,
No.
yeah, she like, I think we know how she's going to rule, but she doesn't want to give like ammo for being attacked. And that's probably why she's
Wait, wait,
evasive.
wait.
She's
Wait
gonna
a
attack
second.
regardless.
She was endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. She has law enforcement in her family. What do you mean the progressive way? There's some things that she will rule on that probably won't be so progressive. What do you mean?
I mean,
Okay, she's at
do you
least
think on
part of the
trans
liberal
issues?
wing of the
I'm just
Supreme
saying.
Court. Can we be real here?
on some of
She-
her personal
She's
things. She
replacing
does,
a
she-
liberal.
Yeah, when you look at some of her
What- how-
personal placements in school boards
can you
and
make
different positions, it is not
ha-
a centrist
Wait,
standpoint.
wait, wait. What is
Of the
her
progressive
role
bill.
as a member of a school board that has nothing to do with the curriculum? What does that have to do with the way she's going to rule on things?
Because because the inference that I think Taftaj is making, which I think is an
The
intelligent,
inference.
the
Ah,
inference
so
is
we got to leap
if you
over a
take
canyon.
no, it's actually leaping over a fucking puddle. So the
No.
inference is if you do the definition of adult human female, that's a biological essentialist definition that excludes trans women. And if you take a hard stance on that, the conservatives will be like, "Oh, yay!" And then if you say, "Hey, sex and gender are complicated, and we have this, these new categorizations, all that kind of stuff," they're just going to assume that you're a progressive and you're going to rule in a progressive way. The reason why I don't care about this is because she's replacing a liberal. So she's a liberal replacing a liberal. Who gives a shit? We're already at like a 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court. Who fucking cares? It's literally maintaining the same power dynamic. Who gives a fuck? The problem or the reason why conservatives would care is because liberal or progressive judges have ruled from a progressive standpoint, meaning that they will update the words of definitions in order to fit their agenda, not necessarily like the original interpretation, like Scalia, who was like a constitutional originalist, okay? And then the reason why, like you're like, hey, this is semantic. This is fucking lawyers arguing about definitions.
Exactly.
Semantics are important. That's all they fucking do. You think we're dorky over here arguing about fucking politics? All
Shouldn't
fucking
she have
lawyers
all-
are semantic fucking dorks.
The entire
she have-
confirmation process in the entire Supreme Court is essentially semantics. When you're talking about the Supreme Court, the cases that get brought up to them, they literally argue. People who go to the Supreme Court literally argue their cases based off semantics, based off what words mean, based off what the
Interpretation.
Constitution means, interpretation of the Constitution. They
Right.
literally argue their cases in front of the Supreme Court via semantics.
Yes, I agree.
That's
And you know
why it's
what?
important.
That's why somebody gets to argue one version, somebody gets to argue the other. So wouldn't you rather her not say what she thinks and wait till both arguments are presented to her by a solicitor general and someone
I'd
else?
rather her be honest on the question and actually provide an answer and not
Yeah.
cop
Why?
out to the wrong.
None of these people
I think
professional,
people
like,
want to
answer the
know how
question.
she's going to rule, right? I think that's
Right.
reasonable to know her legal viewpoints.
I think it's better they don't say something on a definition that could affect some serious cases in the future and say, look, this is how I do things, but I'm not going to get into the definition of words or where I land on a position because that's not my job. My job is to
you think
interpret the
she'll
cases in
recuse
front of
herself?
me.
So you think she'll recuse herself when she's
No.
presented
Why?
a case she doesn't know
Why?
the
Did she have a
definition of
trans
something?
kid or something?
No, because
Why would she recuse
doesn't know the
herself?
Why would she
definition.
recuse
Why?
herself then?
Because she doesn't know enough about the case to answer it properly. or
She would
provide her
learn
gonna
through the
kidding me?
case.
They're going to
That's the
argue in
purpose
front
of the
her.
case.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the reason why we have these hearings, like, from a political standpoint, is to figure out how a specific justice is going to rule if appointed to the Supreme Court. And the sort of, like, I don't know, traditional answer on a lot of these things is to just be like, well, I don't know. I have to see the results. I have to see how the evidence is presented first, which I think is like a very sort of like politically correct, like, I don't know, expected answer. I'm not surprised by that. I expect every, justice to answer this way. And I don't really like hold it against her that she is answering this way. I really think it's like a nothing burger to talk about this. Like, we can guess how she's going to rule. It's not surprising that she like answered the question this way. I don't think it means that she's like lacks knowledge of what what a woman is. I think she probably has a definition, and we know that she didn't want to like, just give away like, how she's necessarily going to rule. So
See,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you,
Can I say
Taft.
real quickly?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna
Just
give
real quickly, I don't think it's as predictable how they're going to rule. For example, Brett Kavanaugh ruled that the medical workers' vaccine mandate was constitutional. I don't think a lot of people would have pinned that on him, but he did.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
So
he
I'm
is-
yeah,
gonna
that's
agree-
a fair point.
he's
Yeah.
clear that what he stands for in terms of the law and its application. If you can't define what a woman is from a legal perspective, we can't
It
trust
is,
you
though.
to do it legally.
But that's like saying
wait,
define what the
Irai,
color blue
to be
is.
fair,
Okay.
he could have while
Yeah.
making that decision. You know how he loves beer and all. You never know, right?
True.
So,
Sprout.
Taft, I agree with you on what you just said. Which is why I think it's more important to look at her history as a judge, what sentences she's laid down, and which is why I found it very important to look at the child pornography, the child abuse cases.
Sprout,
And
but the senators are the ones that deal with that version of the law. Like if you're upset
So
with
wait.
the way a judge is ruling over the last years, it's the actual law that actually. So it's the senators that
Oh.
set the law that say, okay, this is what you can interpret how much a sentence is versus this is a sentence. The Senate has the ability to tighten that gap. If you feel that 3 months isn't enough, then you should be mad at the senators for not making it.
You're
10
right. You're right. I
No.
think the mandatory. I think the mandatory
No,
minimum
she's
should.
not right.
I think that. Well, she kind of is.
Let her-
The
let her-
mandatory. So give me 1 second. The mandatory minimum is 0. Josie is right. The mandatory minimum is 0. 0 months in jail is the mandatory
what?
minimum
For what?
child pornography. First time offenders. The mandatory minimum is 0.
That's for
So
possessing.
Josie.
That's not all cases.
That's for possession,
so-
not for
sorry,
receipt.
sorry,
If you deliberately go
distribution
and
and
find it.
receiving.
I
Distribution and
sorry.
receiving
I
is a
should have.
minimum of 5.
So I should have been more clear.
just-
I should have been more clear. Possession of child pornography, the mandatory minimum underneath federal law is 0 months. Now, I think that Senate should change that. I think the mandatory minimum should not be 0 months. But at the same time, when given that freedom, it doesn't mean you should use that to make sentences more lenient. You shouldn't say, "Well, I can make it 0 months." So I'm not going to make it exactly 0 months because I'm just going to make it 3 months, which is the time he had already
Wait a second,
served,
though.
and then let him go after the case because now he's got 6 years of probation.
Yeah, I just want to say that if
That's
she
the
like
law.
gave 0 months to every like child porn like case that came in, you wouldn't tell her like, oh, well, then it should be the senator's responsibility to just change the law. So now there's a mandatory minimum. You would say, okay, you're making a choice to give every single person 0 months. That's not what's happening here, by the way. But like, and again, I think like the CP stuff is like a weak argument for like a lot of reasons that have already been presented here. But just for like, you know, in Sprouticus's favor, like there is a responsibility here to, you know, to look at the case and to make, you know, reasonable judgments.
You know what's funny is Josh Hawley gave a guy 0 years when he committed sexual abuse and domestic violence, including choking his partner when he was attorney general. And that guy actually recommitted a crime and broke his parole. So I don't know. These heroes that you have, Sprout, are a little weird to me.
I'm not a supporter of Josh Hawley. The people that I've voted into
Well, you're
office.
repeating his argument.
No, I
repeating
don't
his
care.
argument.
So listen, I don't care if I'm repeating someone's argument. I can repeat someone who's heinous is argument. But if the argument is true, the argument is true. It doesn't matter who says it.
I have a
So
question
I
for
did
you.
not.
I
So
have
I did
two
not.
worst-case
Give me 1
scenarios.
second. Give me
I know
1
you're
second.
gonna
Don't
talk
cut me
for a
off.
long
So
time.
no, I'm really not going to talk for a long time. I literally had one more statement to say, but the longer you guys interrupt me, the longer my talking points become. So, to IRI, I didn't vote Josh Hawley into office. I voted the Indiana senators into office. So if you'd like to talk about Mike Braun, or the other one that was earlier, so I'm not exactly sure who he is, but Mike Braun and the other Indiana senator, if you'd like to
I
talk
actually like
about
your
them,
governor.
then
I
we
like
can
your
go
governor.
ahead. We can go ahead and move forward in that conversation. But I did not vote Josh Hawley into office. So you can't come after me for Josh Hawley's decision. I'm not the one that put him there.
Can I cut through the
I-
bullshit? Why
Yeah,
the
go for
fuck
it,
do you? Why the fuck do we give a shit about a liberal replacing a liberal when there's already a 6-3 fucking split for conservatives?
Because eventually
Right,
she
we
might be
should-
over the split, right? Like
we should
you might
all
have
be
conservative
celebrating.
judges dying or retiring,
have-
and
I
then
have a-
she's meaningful.
I have a quick question, Sprout.
Good point.
And this is what I want to say. So there's two worst case. I want to just go ahead and play out your two worst case scenarios. One is that she just says on the Supreme Court that it's like 0 for people that own pedophilia content. And the second one is that she rules that trans women are a type of woman and a gender and sex are actually different, like we've agreed to in extremes before, and that we need to be able to do that. So let's say it's the worst case scenario. So, what is your biggest fear that she's going to do as one judge on the entirety of the Supreme Court?
Title
So-
IX, transports.
So give me 1 second. Everything starts with one judge. There's always one judge that believes something until there's more judges that believe that exact same thing, and then they can rule in favor of something, and then that can take it a whole lot further. Like I've told people, listen, this is one judge. It's not going to make a big issue.
fear-mongering
So no, listen. I've told people it's one judge. It's not going to make that big of an issue when they're confirmed because I know they're going to be
He's still
confirmed.
qualified.
So can you give me a
Chelsea,
second?
be real. Come on.
So
you
they're-
went
so-
the entire last
Well,
topic.
okay.
So they're going to be confirmed by the Senate. This is already through. Joe Manchin says he's going to vote for her. She's going to be confirmed by the Senate. She's going to be a justice. It's going to be Justice Jackson. But at that point, the next person that's lenient on child pornography, they might get in too, and then it might get a little bit. It might get a little bit more. It might get they're neutral on child pornography, and then that person might get in too. So we just keep going down this line, and we'll see how far we go down this line before we decide that child pornography is wrong. And to counterpoints, I have a bone to pick with you. Why are you for why are you for the politicization of the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court is supposed to be non-political, and for you saying that it's just a liberal, it's going to take another liberal's case, another liberal spot. Why does it matter? It matters because Supreme Court justice. Supreme Court justices are supposed to be outside the realm of politics. That's why they have a lifetime position. They consider that seat for life because they're supposed to be outside the realm of politics, and they're not supposed to be voted in or voted out by voters because it's supposed to be outside of politics. So why are you for the politicization of the Supreme Court?
Okay, so a counterpoint, if you will, is we already understand that there's a lot of different interpretations of law, right? And I am hostile to the progressive standpoint that we can basically we can just look at these laws and interpret them however the fuck we want within a modern context because we feel like it. I am hostile to that idea. I am sympathetic to the either originalists or the people who are like, oh, well, we have to look at the text within the time. I'm deeply sympathetic to that because the whole point of the legislature is if there's a law that's unpopular, but you're translating it correctly, it's the legislature's job to update laws. So I agree with you that it should be neutral. But you and I both know that it's fucking not. The reason why it was important that we got 6 conservative Supreme Court justices in is because it feels like everything's been on a progressive backslide. And so having constitutionalists and originalists and all that kind of stuff is going to give us a pseudo-conservative hegemony on the Supreme Court for quite a while. So I'm a centrist and I like balance. So since I like balance, I am okay with 3 progressives maintaining their slot and maybe arguing with conservatives. The whole point is to achieve balance between stagnation and fucking runaway free fall fucking activity. That's the whole point of balance.
So having liberals on the court is fine. What I'm saying is
no, it's not. I'm just saying it's a reality.
No, so listen, it should be about their interpretation of the Constitution. This is what it should be about: their interpretation of the Constitution, their interpretation of law. That should be what gets them on the Supreme Court, not what they believe in. Not I'm going to vote for this. I'm going to vote for that. That should be what gets them on the court. What should be what gets them on the court is the way they interpret law, the way they interpret the Constitution. That should be what gets them on the court, not their politics, because their politics should be set aside as a judge in total, and then especially as a justice, their politics should be set aside because a justice is not a political position. A justice is a non-political position.
Absolutely a political position. What the fuck are we talking about? Like how could you say that it's not political? It's literally like earlier when Josie fucking said that it's semantics, who gives a shit? I'm gonna say the same thing to you. How the fuck is this not politics? It's literally people making decisions about what words mean for laws that were written by the legislature, looking at the legislative intent and then enshrining that through enforcement. This is absolutely political.
Yeah,
the way law enforcement officers do their job,
like
the way
I
the
said,
army does their job, the way everybody does their fucking job is basically dictated by the court after they reinterpret the fucking legislature. How is that not political?
Like I said, this position is meant to be a non-political decision. Non-political position.
Meant to be.
Your perspective is political.
Okay.
So when you talk about this, it's supposed to be a non-political position, so they should get in off no politics. politics. They should get in off their interpretation, the way they interpret things. They should get in off their history as a judge. They should get off their history of how they've acted as a lawyer before. Actually, they don't even need to be a lawyer.
I already have
or
an
a
answer
judge. It
for
could be
you. You
anyone
don't need
else
to go for
before.
another 20 seconds. I already have an answer for you. Your perspective is political. Saying that people should have strict interpretations from a conservative originalist perspective is a political perspective. So for you to say that it's not political is like, it's like a fucking fish swimming in water. It's like, I'm not in water, bitch. It's like, bitch, you're in fucking water. Like you're swimming in that shit. You're breathing it. So to say like, I shouldn't be in water. I should be in air. It's like, no, you should be in fucking water, bud.
What is water?
Can I ask Sprout one question? One question, please, Sprout.
Go ahead.
Did you support Mitch McConnell holding up Obama's pick in his last year in office?
That was political.
In his last year in office, are you talking about when Mitch McConnell denied Obama his pick for the remainder of his
hearing?
Okay. No, I did not support that. No.
Okay. Just curious.
That was totally political, but that was also done by the political branch of the government, not the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that was the nuclear weapon dropped by the Republicans and politicized the judicial branch, in my opinion.
See, here's the thing. The executive branch is meant to be political. The legislative branch is meant to be political. And they made a branch. The founding fathers made a branch separate from the executive and the legislative that was meant to be non-political, that was meant to settle fights between the political parties. And the branch they made is called the Justice Department, or the highest part of the Justice Department is the Supreme Court. So when you talk about the Supreme Court, it's not supposed to. Judicial branch. Okay, so it's not supposed to. It's still Justice Department, but it's not supposed to be political. It's not supposed to.
Department.
Okay. So this is my frustration. So
I don't need a lecture.
Hold on. IRI. So let me nail this in the nail the coffin. Okay. Political definition: relating to the government or the public affairs of a country. How the fuck do you make a judiciary not political? But based on this definition,
like
you can try. You can do stuff like lifetime appointments and try to make it less political. But the process is always political.
How is not relating? No, how is not relating? Okay, relating to the government or the public affairs of a fucking country. Turk, I yield my time to you because you did it to me earlier. So
yeah,
fuck.
So y'all are all correct. There's nuance in this, and that I hate that we're all kind of going past it. Yes, Sprout, it was meant to be a non-political branch, and in an ideal
Can you say
world,
nonpartisan? Sorry.
Or nonpartisan,
he
whatever.
said non. Yeah.
In a law case, you look at the law, you interpret the words that are in the law, and you apply it to a case. Case in point, the Bostock decision. It was 6-3 confirmed for Title VII that transgender people do in fact get discriminated in this case, and they actually have rights under Title VII. That's 6-3, and that was what, 2020, maybe 2021, in recent memory, when there was a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. And in an ideal world, these Supreme Court justices should be able to look past their own bias, look at the case, look at the law, and the definitions that are defined clearly in common English for a common person, and be able to come to a judgment. You can be political in how you stand, and that's why we have conservatives on the court that adhere to certain beliefs, and that does skew how they interpret some of their stuff. And there's progressives on the court that also do the same thing. The goal is to look at the case and the definitions and all the semantic bullshit and come to a non-biased conclusion. My point here is KBJ is unable to define things appropriately to stand in this position, and that's why she's not qualified.
If you guys literally start saying partisan, I'll agree with you.
Okay,
just say
so
partisan.
It's supposed to be a nonpartisan branch of the government. This branch of the government is supposed to be able to decide when you talk about disagreements between the partisan parts of the government. This branch is supposed to be able to neutrally decide. Now, is Justice Jackson a neutral party? No, not at all. Justice Jackson is a progressive party that wants to push the progressive agenda. Justices and judges should not have agendas. They should not be pushing towards a certain thing. They should be looking at the law and saying what the law stands for. Their opinions as to how their opinions as to how life should be should not take into effect. So wait, give me a second. So their positions as to how they think life should be should not take into effect when they're depicting the law. What it should take into effect is what is said in the law and how that's depicted throughout the Constitution and how that is said, how that was meant by the founders.
You concede, okay, but exactly what you did right there is a partisan interpretation.
No, it's
and
not. The founders meant a very specific thing when they wrote the Constitution.
I think if you thought about this with me for a second, you would admit that if somebody was progressive when it came to the law, meaning that they wanted to interpret things based off of modern interpretations of the words, and they weren't originalists, then chances are that their partisan affiliation would favor progressives and liberals. And if they were originalist and strict with their definitions to the original time, that they would favor conservatives. So just by this like legalistic framing of progressivism versus an original interpretation, we are already being partisan. So I understand
it should always be originalism. The idea that you can change the Constitution, we can have a constitutional convention, states can vote to have a constitutional convention to change the Constitution. There's already a way to do this. It's not being done through the legislative process. What they'd rather do is to have it done through the judicial process and create laws that aren't actually laws, but the Supreme Court. So give me 1 second. The Supreme Court created precedents, which practically makes it a law. But it should always be about originalism. Even when we're talking about laws that are created in today's time, you should look at what they meant in today's time, and depict on what that law was meant for at that time, and depict it that way. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You decide that this word means something different now, so we're gonna push forward this way. That's the legislature's job.
Okay, Sprouticus.
Okay. All right. Hey, behave. I'm gonna have to get a water. I'm gonna have to. So are you. So is every Twitch streamer. This is a bait panel. Walk cunts.
I'm tired of this guy, man. Why is she progressive? Why is she progressive? You tell me, Sprout.
She's progressive because she's going to decide the what woman means without being able to define it underneath while under the confirmation hearings.
Decision?
I'm sorry. I wasn't able to finish. She wasn't able to define. I'm sorry. I wasn't able to finish.
We'll let Sprout finish. We'll go to IRI. Then we gotta go to Turk.
Can I answer for Sprout?
Go ahead, Turk.
Okay, we'll go to Turk.
For the love of you need to help him. Jesus Christ, save this man.
I'm trying to do what I can for my brothers, all right? According to Sahil Kapoor, writing for NBC News, Jackson fits well with the Democratic Party and the progressive movement's agenda due to her relative youth, background as a public defender, and history of his labor-friendly rulings. There you go.
A public defender makes you progressive because you represented for free a guy at Gitmo. You did your American duty.
Wait, IRI. I accept the premise that if you're compassionate and you fight for the downtrodden, you're progressive. I accept it.
Give me a break.
I like that.
See,
think there's conservative.
wait,
you don't think there's
I don't agree with that.
public defenders out there?
There's some precedent for her ruling on abortion in a progressive
conservative
way.
Public defenders. They're all progressive people.
I don't agree with that. As a public defender, you are making your legal statements in support of who you're defending. It's not always what the lawyer. This is why I try to stay away from what she did as a public defender. It's not always what the lawyer decides is right. It is trying to defend their client to the best of their ability, and so they try to do that way. But no, I try to stay away from public defender statements because when you're a public defender, you're really trying to defend your client. It's not always what you believe is correct, because I know plenty of defenders who are trying to defend something they find abhorrent.
So what makes her a progressive activist?
And again,
our own party define her as progressive.
I wouldn't say that she's like an activist necessarily, but there is a case. There is a case where she ruled against a Trump policy to cut funding to abortion clinics. So I think there's some precedent. Obviously there's some precedent for her being progressive.
We don't know the facts of that.
But
in all fairness.
Well, I mean, I think that maybe we could agree that in an ideal world, the Supreme Court would not be partisan. They wouldn't be legislating from the bench. that's like a political discussion. Personally, I would prefer if the Supreme Court was less partisan, right? And we can see like some precedent for that in Canada, where you don't have these massive hearings for Supreme Court picks. It's less partisan there. But in the world that we live in, I think that like this justice, I think she's like qualified. And I think the only reason like you can really be against her is like a partisan reason.
Okay, IRI, what ruling do you think Judge
wait.
Jackson?
I want to throw it over to. We gotta get towards wrapping this up. I want to throw it over to Turk. We also, I think Connor raised his hand, and not so erudite. Actually, you haven't really talked much this session. Would you like to give your 2 cents at any point? No.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Canadian, federal politics. I don't know. It feels like we're just like hair splitting on things I don't like. I was really interested in being like, what actually predicts recidivism? What are good policies to implement around like sex offenders? If this is because I think it's a valuable topic, but it's totally fine if this is where things want to go. It's just like I don't have a
Canadian.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, so I don't have a dog in the race.
You're gonna be the first person to do outro, so I can get you off my platform as quickly as possible.
Okay, sounds good. And then I'll mail you some maple syrup at the end.
I will burn it and
Okay,
disinfect.
perfect. That's what you're supposed to. That's how we heat our houses. So that's perfect.
I appreciate it, Turk.
Yeah. So IRI, I appreciate the back and forth. I was giving you a one-line quote from Wikipedia. All right. If you go and click on the source and do additional reading, Washington by Salih Kapoor. Many progressives expect federal appeals judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to shoot to the top of the shortlist of possible Supreme Court nominees. A lot of people in this circle expect her to be very good. And using basic logic, it would seem that they like this person for her beliefs. Would that be a fair judgment?
And a lot of people thought Brett Kavanaugh would vote against the vaccine mandates, and he voted to uphold them for 9 million medical workers.
But that's after the fact, of course.
So I'm just saying it doesn't make him a conservative justice just because some people thought something. It doesn't make her a progressive activist because some progressive activists think she's going to be one. That's
I think activist is going too far. I think we could agree that like
know that yet. Of course, we need to see.
We don't know it. Listen,
but we need to see the action.
We don't know. We
need to see her actions on the Supreme Court. I don't disagree that I don't think she's not going to be confirmed. I don't think the stuff that's been presented is going to prevent her from being on the court.
That is Sprout's whole reason for rejecting her.
No, that's not the whole reason. He had some other things that he wanted to say about children.
She's also a pedo apologist.
Apparently, yeah.
I like all the Trump article too. Down a little further, it says she's a pedo apologist.
So can I respond to that? So what I'm against, what I am against, and what I started off against is her sentencing to child pornography and child abuse sentences. Her child abuse sentence, the court records show the prosecutors asked for 45 years. The White House told factcheck.org that the probation office recommended 41 years. Jackson sentenced him to 29 and a half years. We can go to Wesley Hawkins. The prosecutor suggested 24 months. The probation officer suggested 18 months. Jackson sentenced to 3 months. We go to Jeremy Sears. The prosecutor suggested 108 months. Probation officer suggested 120 months. Jackson sentenced to 71 months.
Can I just ask one? I'm sorry. I'm actually really curious. I know I'm not supposed to do this, and this is really unfair. And I always pick on Sprout because I love Sprout. Sprout, did any of the people that you're talking about reoffend?
Wesley Hawkins has been out for 3 years. Jeremy Sears, I'm not sure when that case happened, but we can go back and check when that case happened. I'm not sure if they're off probation yet or even out of jail yet, but we can. The case is 19-CR-21. No, he was convicted in 2020. So the cases that I'm talking about, two of the three are still in jail.
You know anybody that's ever been convicted of something, Sprout?
I do know people that have been convicted of something. Yes.
Did they recommit the offense?
The friends that I actually accept into my circle of friends that I actually trust, aren't people that would recommit. So no.
Okay. So no. Gotcha.
Okay.
Interesting.
Do you guys want to talk about things that actually predict whether or not people reoffend?
Yeah.
Hell
Well,
no.
For sexual
we are
assaults?
1
Yeah.
minut. We are 1 minute from when the program's about
Sounds
to
Only
good.
if
end.
it's KBJ being convicted of being progressive and how likely she is to recommit the progressive.
Oh yeah, there's a
causes.
lot of meta-analysis on KBJ
wanna
I
see-
and
agree. I
reoffense.
agree
Yeah.
that public defenders are all progressive
I want to
and
see
none
it.
of them are conservative. I agree with
I
that.
did not say that.
Well, no,
Here's
Turk
what
I
said
said that.
That's what
I
Turk
think
Zach
she's
from
guilty.
Saved by the Bell was a progressive legal defender in that one show that had one season on
I practice
TNT.
bird law. Okay, let's wrap the show up because I have a special message to all my friends at home about Destiny being banned, pre-recorded,
Mm.
that I've been hyping up all day. So I do want to throw it over to Connor to wrap up. Shout outs, everything. Connor, IRI, you guys get the
Okay.
order. I'll be right back.
Okay. So we're
All
doing
right.
shout outs and closing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. In closing, I don't care that a liberal is replacing a liberal. I do take Toftaj's point well that these can impact things the way that like a snowflake affects a avalanche. That is appreciated. But at the same time, fair's fair. We got, conservatives got 6 judges, liberals and progressives got 3. Let's be fair. Let's be balanced, okay? Then, for me, if you enjoyed my shit posting and shit talking, you can find me by typing in Counterpoint's common spelling into YouTube. Just broke 15K. Very excited about it. You can also find me on Twitch. My Twitch community is not that large, so if you want to join it, it would be appreciated. I'm live on Patreon.com. I'm live on a whole bunch of other donor websites. 100% of the funds raised from this month and next month are going to Come Back Alive, which is a non-governmental organization that supports the Ukrainian army. And then it's also going to humanitarian relief in Ukraine. Slava Ukraina. And thank you.
I guess we're going in order since Dylan's away. I want to clarify one thing. I said that when Hawley was Attorney General, he gave a guy no time and the guy recommitted. He didn't recommit. He didn't finish his mandatory sexual offender counseling, and then he got sent to 20 days in jail because of that. So what an upstanding citizen. Seemed to really fix him to get that light no jail sentence from Josh Hawley. Look, I think the only thing KBG is guilty of, Ketanji Brown Jackson, is being a black woman. That's it. And that's the only reason. I'm sorry if that makes you mad out there. I get it. People are going to groan, but
That's enough.
let's be honest. Let's be honest. This is the truth. And the other thing she's guilty of is being nominated by Joe Biden. And I agree with Connor. You guys it's not changing the political ideology of the court. So the fact that they're attacking her so hard is pathetic, dragging her name through the mud when 2/3 of federal judges issue the same sort of sentences that she issued. She had a few cases cherry picked where she tried to give people another chance. And look, it worked in that Wesley Hawkins case, the infamous 3 months kid. He was actually convicted in 2013. He was 18 years old when he had a bunch of pictures. She gave him 3 months. Probation recommended 18 months. And you know what? The kids kept it clean as a whistle ever since. So look, I'm looking forward to Justice Brown being the first black woman on the Supreme Court. It's been too long, so that's all I can say. Oh, and I go by I'm really important. I talk electoral politics. We would love to have you guys come hang out with us. I'm really important. All one word. I stream 4 or 5 days a week. We have a great community, positive. We are looking forward
She
to the
is
midterms.
guilty of being
I don't
fine
think
as
Democrats
fuck.
going to do
Dude,
as poorly as
she's
some people
attractive.
think. So come hang out and listen to my.
This is
ideas
not
on
being
this.
talked about enough. She's so cute.
Well, we're gonna throw it
Like
now
you see
over
her on the
to
stand,
Josie.
and
Hi,
she's so
everybody.
pretty.
This was a rough one for
I agree.
it was a lot, but we through.
We made it through to
Community-
the end, and then your mic started cutting out.
I know. Then it started. Well, my headphones died halfway through too, so I had to flip those out. But anyways, thank you everybody.
KBJ.
I
don't know
am
if I said KJ.
disappearing off Twitch. I am gonna be gone because I am gonna be going under facial feminization surgery, which is a gender affirming surgery that I've been waiting for over a year now. So I'm very excited about that. So don't think that this debate maybe like go silent for a while. It's just coincidental on that. But you can find me at Josie Rose C on Twitch. And you can also follow the Love Nest on Discord. And yeah, we actually got a pretty good amount of followers today. So I'm actually pretty happy with a lot of the new people in the community. So thank you for that. And I love you all. And just know that we're all content creators and we are all doing our best to just have fun and entertain on this entertainment platform. So thank you.
Awesome. I'm gonna throw it over to Lonerbox.
Yeah, fuck it. If you don't give every criminal 200 years in the electric chair, you're normalizing crime. Fuck you.
Right.
I'm glad that they asked her what a woman is, because now transphobes since 2016 have got 2 jokes: attack helicopter and I don't know, I'm a biologist. Can't wait till
True.
fucking 2038 till the next one comes. I know what a woman is. It's fucking what your dad said they feel like when I was railing them last night. I'm Lonerbox. Like and subscribe.
You were railing my dad?
Damn, dog. He just got out of
Yeah.
heart surgery. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oof, really riding razor's edge there with the heart. Gonna throw it
Destiny's
over
called.
to
Someone needs to cover.
throw it over to Not So Erudite.
Damn.
Name's Not So Erudite. I go by that on every social media that you can find me at. I think obviously I was a lot more quiet on the second topic. In part, I had super prepped for the trans athlete. I was actually excited to talk with Josie about research, because it sounds like that's something you're actually really passionate about, and I am too. And I really love making decisions that are good for people based on empiricism, not just based on like political rhetoric. I also have a big thing that I try not to like use my public venue to spew just like uninformed opinions, which I could have done, but it's just like I don't have a dog in the race. I don't know much about like the federal
But it's
electoral
so
system.
fun.
It is fun, but I aim for best practice because I'm a true prude in every way. I appreciate being invited out. Hopefully I can come out and debate some more spicier topics in the future, maybe a little bit more in my wheelhouse or whatnot. But yeah, I appreciate being invited nevertheless.
Awesome. I'm gonna throw it over to Taft.
Great. I'm Taftaj or Taf. It's on the screen. Follow me. I post sexy pictures on Twitter and elsewhere. I stream politics occasionally, and I'm like moderate center right. Josie, congrats on getting that surgery. That's a big milestone. And I know it's like it can be such a struggle to get it, but I think it's really cool. Sorry for going like a little bit hard on the first topic. I'm also disappointed that we didn't get to the trans athletes topic.
Same.
Not so erudite, and I've talked to her and she has like so much information on it, so I think it'd be fun. But yeah, definitely getting late, so understand. And that's all.
Wonderful. Now let's send it over to Sprouticus.
So at the end, we see what the left does. I get called racist, and then I get told that if a judge doesn't sentence someone to 200 years, that they're not a good judge. They take my statements and then completely twist them out of what they were. We didn't even talk about half the cases. We talked about Wesley Hawkins. We talked about another case, and then we talked about I talked about another case. I talked about the child abuse case. The rest of the cases weren't even touched. Maybe there's a reason why. But we move forward, and honestly, I didn't expect anything less. So my name is The Sprouticus. You can find me at twitch.tv/TheSprouticus. You can find me at twitter.com/TheSprouticus. Come give me a follow, especially if you hate me. Actually, if you hate me, go ahead and give me a subscription. Keeps me around for longer. Maybe you could debate me next time. But until then, y'all have a great night.
Okay. Again, everybody, stay tuned for the message. Sending it over to Turk.
Yeah, I am actually in the same boat as Erudite and Taft. I was brought onto this panel early in the week to talk about the transports topic, and I've been prepping for that because I wanted to have the conversation, and
We'll try to see if we can do it next week, maybe, or the next show. We can, and we'll try to book the people who are most
I
interested
blame
in
the
that.
movers and shakers behind the scenes for not making it happen. So
Money over integrity every time.
Yep. So I'm Turk. I don't want any of y'all following me because y'all are, progressive people, and I don't want you on my science and tech. I get slammed enough by disagreeing with Linus Tech Tips, Hardware Unboxed, Gamers Nexus, all those fools, because they're dumb, and I don't want y'all following me. So have a great night. Take care, guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. See you guys for the next show or whenever I interact with any of you. You were all lovely. You all have a good one.
All right.
Thanks,
Later.
buddy.
What about
Peace.
the announcement? Oh, I guess no one else.
He's showing it on his stream.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
So
Good job.
Josie,
Night, guys.
before we leave,
Have a
I
good one,
really
Josie.
wanted to have the sports conversation because
Yeah.
Me too. That's what I was here for as well. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to be like as genuine and like real with you guys talking about this topic, because if we can't talk about it straight and being truthful and like being honest, there's no point having the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
And-
was looking forward to it too. It's just that we spent 2.5 hours.
On Destiny.
Yeah, I know, and I was
You know-
Thank you for that. by the
But
way.
we
Hey,
do
I
have
was-
your list of sources. I'll post maybe mine as well, and then maybe next week if we all get to come
Great
back, then we
video.
all have a week to prep on
Actually,
sources.
so I host a panel. Gotta do this on Destiny Sane. I host a panel called the American Octagon.
Yeah.
And actually, I can invite you all to come onto the American Octagon and discuss trans sports issues. It's gonna be on Monday at 8:00. So if you
Yeah.
guys want to come on Monday at 8:00, I can have that be the first topic. That way we can kind of address that. If you guys want to come onto the American Octagon.
Prime
and
Kai's is
all-
covering it right now as well. I think it's an open panel, so
Ooh,
there's
I'm-
space to go
Open
into there
panel.
as well if you want, Josie. I
Dude,
think it's
I'm
an
gonna
open
go
panel, so
yell
if you
at
guys want to go over
It
there,
once.
I would love
I'm
to
sure
see
Brian
that.
would really appreciate having it all. I don't know. I was really disappointed, Josie. I was like really excited when I saw researcher and your like 75 citation list. I was like,
Yeah.
based.
Yeah. So that comes from Jangles. Jangles did a video.
Jangles is a
I'll
clown.
watch the video about sports. You can think about it, but he actually knows like kinesiology and things like that. Did a really great video that incorporates all of those sources into a really nice package. So I trust it. It's like a year ago it was done, but I still use it in a lot of my resources because it's just well done video. So okay,
Cool.
awesome. Thank
All
you.
right, well, I'm gonna go
Good
yell
night,
at Prime's
everybody.
panel.
All right.
I might do the same.
Bye.
Bye.
That was good stuff. I am not going to go on primes, but I'd love to see Not So Erudite versus Josie. I'm going to sign off for the night. I love you all. You guys are wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous, lovely. You guys are the reason I'm here at all. Thank you so much for watching me. I think you are fantastic. And if you want, you can share your appreciation for me with another cool lady on this. She's playing Elden Ring right now, and she's pretty sweet. So yeah. Yeah, everyone be super nice to her. She has slightly different politics than me. Hopefully that's cool. She's a progressive lefty. She's really nice. Definitely check her out. So yeah.